what's the special accommodations? What special accommodations do trans people get?
That we changed the entire system of HR.
Nothing
for
about
pronouns.
you has
I mean,
changed.
the entire HR system changed for it. Okay, so 0.7% changed a system of 100-something years. So that is very odd to me. And then number two, yeah, look, like I will respect somebody who's made the transition, but I will call them by their first name. I'm not. If you were a guy and now you're a girl, I'm just gonna say your first name.
Okay.
I mean, okay, I don't see why it makes a difference, but okay, that's fine. My thing is that, look, I'm not trans. I don't know what it's like to be trans, but I think if you're human and you know you're not bothering nobody, trans people, like, if we're not talking about murderers, we're talking about trans people.
Well, so Megan Fox, basically, when she had her triplets, she said she just felt like her sons were going to be girls, and so she raised them as girls. So, like, that sort of thing really is very strange to people. And then here's another strange thing. When a young kid is questioning their sexual identity, which is, part of life, if it's a boy, why not, like, reinforce testosterone and see if that works out the issue, as opposed to doing something more invasive and transitioning them to another gender, which is a much more challenging thing.
So now we want to tell parents
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm saying so I'm asking a question, all right? I'm asking a question. Why isn't that the first go-to medically? That's all I'm asking.
I don't think that trans kids
medically and psychologically
are having medical
issue.
I don't think it's legal. Correct me if I'm wrong, for trans kids or to have medical. I don't understand testosterone. You gotta
CEO.
Wait a minute. No.
Isn't it up to the medical professionals, the psychiatrists and psychologists to answer those questions?
I need to clarify. Okay, so you used the example Megan Fox. She had triplets. They happened to be boys. She feels as though she was carrying girls and she wants to turn them into girls, so she's going to raise them as girls. Is that what you said?
Correct.
Okay. So is that not a parent choosing how they wish to raise their children?
So it is.
Okay.
And it's her right to do that, and it's other people's right to find that offensive. So both things are true.
It's literally not your business. How you think it? Like,
wow.
This is what
CEO.
To do with us.
Repeating. Like, oh wow.
I find it offensive. I find it weird. I can say it's your right to find it weird, but offensive, like, how is it offending you?
And that's a Megan Fox thing. That has nothing to do with transgender people. Like that has nothing to do with this particular issue. That's a personal person's choice.
Would she have made the decision 40 years ago?
Would she have been allowed to make?
Okay. No. Even if she had allowed to, would she have? No. So there is something. So people are concerned about the societal twists they see with this as well.
The societal tolerance.
That's just
crazy. I think
I am communicating to you how people think. So, look, if you don't want to hear it, I will shut my tail up.
Okay.
No. Many of these things I believe myself as well.
That's fine.
Clearly.
We can reason with you, correct? Like, we can, you don't even have to change your mind. We're just reasoning.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, I want to give us.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, sorry. I mean, CEO. I mean, I understand your position. I mean, I have a small anecdotal example, and bear in mind, I grew up in Jamaica, which is, a highly homophobic culture. So my mom had a clothing store at one point, and it was Christmas time. They would have gifts and all sorts of stuff, and like people in the community would come in and buy stuff. So this little boy comes in with his mom and his aunt. And he's probably 6, 7 years old at best. And and she's looking around, and they're trying to buy him a birthday gift or whatever, or Christmas gift, whatever it was, and he starts looking at the dolls. He's looking at the dolls, and I mean, you could say the kid is effeminate, but I mean, I wouldn't attribute that type of gender to a kid. But I mean, he's looking at the dolls. So, he finds this one, and I'm seeing this little kid's eyes glowing. He's looking at this Barbie doll, and I'm like, you want that? And his mom is looking at him like, I can't believe you're embarrassing me like this. And his aunt was like, why is he taking a Barbie? Why doesn't he get a water gun? He's like, get him a water gun. And then he's looking there, and he's like, he's looking at me, and I'm like, dude, I'm not the one paying for it. So he goes, he gets the water gun, and he leaves, and everybody's happy and thing. And it's like it's funny, like, so I'm there sitting, and I see like a car pull up about an hour later, and I see the little kid runs out. I was like, you want the Barbie doll, right? He was like, yes. So I gave it to him. So I mean, I think when I think about it, I mean, just looking at his excitement and in terms of what he wanted, and it means a young age. So you could make the argument that, okay, maybe they should have reinforced him to get the water gun, and that would be more male, and all of the masculine things associated with that. But when I saw the look on that kid's face, there's no way I could deny that this is what he wanted. So I mean, that's how I feel the same way about gender. I mean, if they I mean, them deciding what his gender is, like the Megan Fox example, I could see an issue with that. But I mean, if at this point, he decides or she decides, this is who I am, and they identify with that, I don't see why you would make society make a decision based on that.
And see, you're
But I don't have an issue with what you just said, Ryan. For clear, I don't have any issue with what you just said. So,
right, but you said something about why isn't it that we start with testosterone levels and things like that. I mean, so it's like you're for gender affirming care as long as it's the gender that is assigned to the person at their birth. So if they need to give hormones in hopes to psychologically, I don't know, reconfigure this person's sense of self or image of themselves. It can't be the other way around. It can't be to affirm what they feel about themselves, but it has to be to affirm what society.
Well, here is how
feels
my lonely caveman practical brain thinks. That if someone is born a certain gender, then the first thing you would do is try to reinforce that before you went through the process of doing something completely life-altering. Especially because, like a child, like children go through a lot, right? And like when in the 80s, we had a lot of girls who were tomboys, and should all of them, the ones who felt like should they have transitioned, right? Like, it was a stage. So I'm not saying it's a stage for everybody, but for some people, it's a stage. And so what you end up doing is making this permanent decision over something that could be a temporary phase.
All right, let's scratch this Megan Fox story, because that is a parent who chose to do what she wishes to do with her children. I do agree. Hey, parents should, go along with whatever the gender the child was born as, and then if that child should choose something different, then let that be on the child, not the parent changing it just because she wanted daughters. I mean, but at the end of the day, who am I to tell her what to do with her children? That's my point.
At the end of the day.
So see, the way you think is, or the way what you're saying is the way I feel like a lot of people think. And the issue, I feel like I feel like this issue extends to women, biological women, trans women, is we as men don't know. We're not in their shoes. And we shouldn't have so much of a say-so on laws and issues pertaining to women or trans women. Because all of the stuff you're saying could all be true. It could all not be true. We have no idea what the mind of a trans person, how it develops. We can only speak for cisgender men, and you know, so we're just like fishing, like just saying, you know, what we, you know, what just seem, but we don't know. So I just think I just refer to the science versus what I would think, or, you know, something like that, because what you would think would not apply to them because you are a heterosexual cis man. So do you understand how that just doesn't, like, and I think we have to stop doing that when it comes to like other type of people, whether it's women, any other group of people. We can't make decisions for them because we don't know what it's like to be them.
So the interesting thing is that I could accept what you say 100%, but ultimately it's not going to change how I process it, and it doesn't change how a lot of people process it, and then how it influences how they see the world, right? So people can agree with the legal element and all those things you just said, but it ultimately doesn't change how they think about it by themselves when nobody's around or we're just with their circle of friends.
Well, then people should get educated. That's what people, instead of creating narratives and talking amongst themselves and gossiping like we as males often do about trans people, which is so ironic. We should get educated. If we're so concerned, which I don't think that's really what it is, I think some people are grossed out, some people are whatever. Just get educated. If you want to know and not, you know, go read about it. I did. I learned that puberty blockers was around way before trans people. Puberty blockers was being used for many other things, especially with girls, way before trans people came around. The word cisgender has been around since the early 1900s. None of these things are new, and none of these things are, you know, strictly for trans people. So I think that just like people had, and rightfully so, had to get educated on black people not being dumb or whatever the stereotypes of us being, you know, little monkeys or whatever the fuck they were saying about us at the time. The world America had to come to grips. Nigga, we here, like, and we're not going nowhere. So, you know, you have to like cope. So I feel like the same with trans people. And the thing with trans people is only like 10 of them motherfuckers. So it's not like you gotta go and you know, you can definitely take it slow. So I don't get the whole phobia of the trans thing. I'm not directing this to you, but just with America in general. I am gay, and the last time I saw a trans person was, I don't know, I can't even remember. So I don't understand why this is such a big issue for America. And further, I don't understand why it was an issue in this election, which she never mentioned it. And I think for a reason, she never mentioned it. And it's all of a sudden something that, you know, niggas voted on.
But she never mentioned it, but she...
Well, they used the commercial.
Defended herself.
Yeah, they just used a commercial against her. That's all that happened. And it was a very powerful.
And a lot of X tweets and retweets.
Wait,
Yeah.
you said that.
But they didn't combat it at all.
That commercial was not powerful. That was a bunch of bullshit. And the fact is, it didn't matter if she put the commercial out. They still was going to vote the way they were. Y'all going down all this rabbit hole of all this other bullshit of why they voted for him and not her. It's a fucking double standard. They were always going to vote for him. Why don't we get this through our skulls? It don't matter what was said, what was done, who did what. All this, it's just we're just talking. I'm keeping it real, we just fucking talking. They was always going to vote for him. They are a bunch of fucking assholes. Straight up. Those people are assholes because they voted for a person that's going to be against their interests. And they know it. They didn't give a fuck. Why are we going through this? This is crazy.
Which one of their interests did they vote against?
All of it.
Okay. So, okay.
Can y'all play my link in the chat, please? Thank you.
So, if you are a white working class person who voted for the Conservative Party, that's voting against their interests.
Yeah, because because of the fact that they're going to have women who are going to die because they're going to die during childbirth.
It's not in their interest.
Yeah,
Why do you assume that's their
I know
interest?
it's not in their interest. That's my point. But the voting against their interest is not having their wives okay when they're pregnant, and if they can't have the child and they can't go through with the pregnancy, or if they don't want to go through the pregnancy and they want to have an abortion, they can't. That's voting against your interest because you know that this will negatively affect you. It's been said 100 times, but they ignored it.
Well, that's what they're into. There's a guy who comes in here named Matt. There's a guy that comes in here named Matt that says his daughter, one of his daughters is raped by a cousin at age 12. He and his wife will force her to have the child. I don't know why y'all assume this is not their interest. These are their interests. They don't care if the woman dies. She's a whore to many of them. That's their interests.
That means they don't care one way or the other. So what?
No, they do care. That's their interest. Their interest is women to raise children and do that. Matt literally says that they will have the baby. That's their interest.
Again, they don't care one way or the other. It's obviously not thought of. They didn't think. They didn't think about this shit too hard. Trust
No,
me.
they do care.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey.
That to me.
Hey,
I just told you.
Royal,
You can't say that the people are transphobic and say they don't care about the trans.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do care. They just don't care like you care.
Listen, I speak to some people who voted post-election, some of my friends, acquaintances who voted for Trump. And mostly every last one of them mentioned the trans issue. When I keep asking them, I said, do you know it's
Every
very
one of
less
them.
than 1%?
It's a go-to. It is.
All of
Yeah, it's a
them did.
go-to for them. You are so right. See, and mind you, a lot of them are military, whatnot. But when I tell them it's insignificant, it's 0.6% of the population. How many trans people are even in your state? Have you ever met a trans person in real life? And you know what they said? Well, I don't want my kids going to school and being converted to trans because that's what the liberal agenda is doing. They're converting kids to trans.
Well, I'm not talking about the trans part specifically. What I'm saying is the facts are right there for them. They've been told it 100 times that trans people make up like probably less than 1% of the population. They don't get. That's what they don't care about.
It takes 40% of their mind share, though. Royal takes up 40% of her mind share.
Bruh.
Royal, they literally think they're turning kids trans.
That's my point. My point is they don't give a fuck about real information. They don't care.
Well, we know that.
That's the electorate.
That's all I'm saying.
That's the electorate. And you can't just change the electorate.
So guess what? I don't give a fuck anymore. That's why I'm gonna sit here with this glass in my hand and drink this bourbon every fucking day and be cool. You don't give a fuck. So I don't give a fuck. You want that type of entertainment, go?
Yes. Yes, because what we should stop saying. Yes, because what we should stop saying is this is something that Democrats and liberals should stop saying. They're voting against their interests. Their interests are always to not be the nigger, and now it's to not be the nigger and the queer, let alone having a nigger queer. That is their interest. So I don't know why everybody, they're voting against interest. This is a phrase, if I ever use it, I take it back. They would rather be poor and white than rich and black. That is their interest.
Yep.
That's what LBJ said. That's an actual quote from LBJ. The quote's probably fake. That is their interest. Like, they actually care. And I'm going to tell you how they care. For all of a sudden, Nancy Mace just introduced a bill in the House assigning bathrooms to biological House members. What did they just get in the House? Their first trans member, all over the internet. They care. That's how they win elections. They don't like the trans girls in sports. They never talk about the trans boys. Ever notice that? They care. Because they're bigots and homophobes. The Democrats could recognize that and do it. Congressman-elect McBride, I don't think, said, you know what? I didn't come here to use the bathroom. I came here to work with it and just keep it moving. But yeah, bro, they do care. They care big time. Yep, they care big time.
So do you think black people and Hispanic people voted for
Exactly.
interest?
Oh, you mean, I guess.
No, they vote. I think everyone who votes for a set of their interests. Everybody that votes for their interests. An interest for a lot of Hispanic males was to keep a black bitch out of power. That was their interest. Y'all living in illusion land. What? They would rather be poor under a white man than rich under a negress, let alone an Indian negress who cooks greens in the bathtub. At some point, you liberals are gonna wake up and see the world. You live in a bubble. I'm in a real bubble.
I literally just said that. I just said that they are using a double standard. They don't. Oh my God.
They're hypocrites.
Yes,
This is the breaking point.
So this is the breaking point. Of course, it's a double standard. What you should do is to come to terms with a significant amount of the electorate votes and has a double-minded, conflicting interest. It happens all the time. It's just part. So stop saying it's a contradiction. Okay, so what? It's a contradiction. So what? That's the point you got to move to.
It's not a contradiction.
It's a
What's the contradiction?
The contradiction is that you got economic interest and you're voting on something that is that doesn't matter as much as your economic.
They don't believe. I mean, Trump is better economically.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's not a contradiction. They believe it matters more. That's what Goat just said. Like,
they prioritize.
It's not a contradiction. It does matter.
Yeah,
Maybe
agree.
it matters more.
They prioritize.
So again, so the solution is the Democrats, when they run again, they should build a underground for trans and just tell them we'll support you once we get in office. But right now we have to turn our backs on you. Is that
No.
idea?
No, you can do exactly what Andy Bashir has done. There's Democrats in the country who are successful, but because Andy Bashir vetoed every single one of those anti-trans bills in Kentucky. He has an approval of 67%. He explained it. He explained it without talking down to people or like me, condescending. Maybe if someone like Ryan interrupted, who has a teacher who's a white, he would let that person, I don't know, maybe he predicted the election right so they believed him. But you can do the thing that's in your values and then run on it. That's what it is. But he also, can talk to people. So yeah, you don't have to have an underground and do everything. He vetoed all those bills. He's the most popular politician in the state by about 40 points. Not 40 points, by about 20 points. So yeah, it's possible. You just have to be good at that.
Ryan hunted you for 5 hours. Let's really talk about it.
What'd you say? What's that?
I said, why has Ryan hunted you for 5 hours?
Because he's a post-liberal Nietzschean.
Oh, please.
I don't want to get anything.
Wait, you talking about me or you talking about White Ryan?
No,
White Ryan, the one whose wife's a teacher, so therefore he knows everything about education. Yeah, not you. You're not a post-liberal. You're just a deadbeat because you're Jamaican, so you don't take care of your kids.
I don't have any kids that I know of.
Exactly. You just proved my point. You got 3, and you don't take care of them because you don't know them. Exactly. Burn a man.
So,
It wasn't me.
so what I hear is, we have to, whatever it matters most to them, Democrats have to lean into it and start from that place versus telling them what they should care about and leaning into that. Like, from what Royal was saying, Royal is talking about what they should care about, which you feel are what are in their best interest. But in reality, we need to speak to what they are saying they care about.
I mean, look.
Lean into that.
I mean, look. Here's the thing. We are in for a 4-year ride. I want my governor to be a fucking asshole. What does that mean? I mean, when Trump decides that he's going to stop sending money to New York State education, right? Because we're teaching black studies, we're teaching slavery. I want Governor Hochul to say, oh, really? Then fuck it. I'm withholding all of the tax dollars from New York to the federal government until you change your ways. And if you don't, then fuck you. You're never getting New York State. Take me to court. Do whatever you need to do. We ain't doing shit. Let's see what the country does when you lose New York State tax.
He gonna send in the troops.
They gonna bleed California and fucking the cities and Texas.
No, it's literally impossible because the IRS gets their money first. If you get a paycheck, they don't send your federal tax dollars to New York and the New York direct deposits into the IRS. The IRS gets their money first. So Kathy Hochul is talking about black kids not knowing how to use computers. So she certainly doesn't know how to withhold federal dollars. The feds get their dollars. They're getting their dollars. The idea that you can hold Fed dollars now. Look, this is not serious. This is not serious stuff.
We got a
Kathy
whole
Hochul.
state.
What?
We got a whole state filled with government workers. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? What am I talking about? The money that goes to the IRS goes directly to the IRS. Kathy Hochul cannot withhold money from my check if I work in New York. Your check, your FICA,
What?
payroll taxes, income tax, they go directly to the IRS.
Me, I work in a private institution. I'm talking about. Oh my God.
What do you mean? Never mind. In the government, it goes directly to the IRS. It doesn't go to New York.
She's the executive.
All right, well, you got it.
Okay. Yes, I do.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
basically,
You think that the states withhold tax dollars from the IRS? In what world?
So good. It actually doesn't really go straight from your check to the IRS.
Where does it go in
It
now?
goes into a holding account for your specific employer, and they in turn distribute it in mass and for a batch file process to the IRS.
Right. Does it? So was the states in the middle of that, ML?
No, the state is not in the middle of that.
Of course not.
Yeah, but
But
if you were to have let's play the idea. Let's play the idea. And if the corporations were going to try to hold those taxes and not pay the IRS, do you know what would happen to the corporations, Royal?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about corporations. I'm talking about the state of
They're
New
the
York.
ones who have the taxes. They have the holdings, and then they send it to the federal government. That's how it works.
We have a whole state filled with
What
workers.
tax are they withholding? Just name it. Which tax are they withholding?
I just said it.
Which
I
one?
literally just said.
FICA, local,
Oh my God.
sales tax. Which one? What are they withholding? Name the tax.
They're holding federal taxes. If you are a state employee,
FICA. What federal tax?
I guess just say FICA or federal income taxes. Either one. Just choose one. Okay, federal income taxes. So what, CEO? What is your point?
So, and you're saying they're holding it from what the employees are getting? Like, play this out. I mean, do you understand the chain of custody? Do you understand the chain of custody?
This does not matter.
Am I not explaining this correctly? Maybe I'm just not explaining it correctly. She's the governor of the state of New York, right? She could literally say, okay, employees of state of New York, we're talking about state employees, not talking about me who works in a private institution. That's impossible, okay? Yeah, we're gonna work this money differently. Just that.
Oh, okay. All right. So here's the argument you're making. Okay, I got it. Okay, so this is the argument you're making.
So you want her to break the law?
The state. I got it. Well, at least it's coherent. So the state government is going to withhold for their employees. Are going to withhold the taxes and not send it to the federal government. That is what you're advocating for. Is that correct? Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Now.
Be an asshole. Just
Okay.
like Trump.
All right, great.
Go to jail.
Now, what do you think will happen? Okay. And it wouldn't just be the governor.
Yeah, the tax commissioner would be the first person to go to jail.
And it would be the people in the departments.
Yes, they would all go to jail.
Fuck.
And then this is the funny part. Government workers' contribution to federal tax dollars in the state of New York, I can guarantee, is no more than 15% of the money that goes. That money is massively from private industry. So she withholds 15% because Trump decides not to send money because she's not teaching slavery. New York would actually end up worse off because the money they get from the feds, back from the feds, is probably more than the state employees are sending. Most of the money coming from New York is from private employers. But Royal wants the tax commissioner and the employees and Kathy Hochul to go to prison. So they go to prison, the money gets released, and they're still not teaching slavery.
Are they going to tell all the employees But Royal, before you even do that, you have to set up a mechanism to put that in place.
I got you. I got that. Here's the thing. If they pull the money in the first place, we won't be getting anything. So What is your
All right, cool. So I ran this.
Are they gonna tell?
Royal, it is at least an interesting exercise. So thank you for being
no,
here.
not
Hey, Laura. Hey, Royal.
I went ahead and walked through it. Yep, I went ahead and walked through it.
No, I don't.
So.
Are you gonna tell?
You would first get legal
employees
action.
the file exam?
Trophy.
I think so.
No, Royal is for state rights.
So Royal.
It's all states' rights.
So Royal, first the federal government would sue the state of New York. And then there would be criminal charges filed. And then they would intercept the funds and seize them.
They're telling me everything that I know. I'm still saying big fuck it. Again, if they stop sending the money to the state of New York, right? Because they don't like what we're teaching, fuck it. You're acting like I'm just saying this like, oh yeah, just do it. No, do it as a reaction to what they're doing. That's what I'm saying.
I don't see how that will work. Like, when they tell all of this. I'm just, hold on. No, because I'm thinking. Wait, hold on. What you mean Brooklyn is the voice of reason?
Royal.
I love Brooklyn. She's so cute.
I love Brooklyn too. I'm just saying, Royal. And she from New York.
But I'm thinking, like, are you going to tell all the employees to file exempt? Like, how the fuck do you get the money from the hell?
No,
How
he's
did
talking
you
about
it's going to be black
the portion that the employee takes. He's talking about that side.
Okay.
He's really not talking about nothing at all.
Can y'all play my video, please? Can somebody play my video? Because that explains what I was saying.
No, they play videos on fan base.
So honestly,
Oh,
do y'all think President-elect Donald Trump is saying something?
What?
When he's talking about
Hold on.
I mean,
hold on. Royal is a part of.
Statement.
Hold
Hold
on,
on. He's
Royal.
not saying it.
Royal, I want to answer your question. I want to answer your question. You are being blue MAGA right now. You're doing
Blue Anon.
Sure.
Blue Anon, because
right.
you're not saying anything that makes sense, and because you don't make sense, you asked me if Donald Trump makes sense. What the fuck do you not making sense have to do with Donald Trump? You don't make sense, Will. You can't just be.
Great.
You can't be nonsensical, and just because you're not on Donald Trump's side, it doesn't make you less nonsensical. You're still being.
And you're right.
I know.
And you're right. Guess what, Dr. Library?
You're still gonna be nonsensical.
You goddamn right. You know why?
Because you're blue MAGA.
Yeah, I'm blue MAGA. Yeah, because when the country votes for that guy, I don't give a fuck anymore.
You don't give a fuck about sense.
I don't give a. Why should I? Nobody else does.
All right, Royal, what else you got? Give us your next theory.
No, please.
Please, give us your next one, Royal.
I almost want to ask
Please
you about
play my video. It's gonna point out all of this whole conversation. Please. I'll post it again.
They're acting as if this country currently is acting within reason. Come on, stop it. It's not.
Royal, will you commit to giving us one of your new ideas at 5 p.m. every day?
I put the solution in the chat, guys. Like, y'all are just being difficult. Royal clearly said the solution. What are you sipping on? Because that is the pathway to understanding. We just need to sip on the same thing, and then we'll get it.
That's the spirit. Oh, look at that spirit.
I told you. Look at this. All this. So we got to become alcoholics. Yeah. In order to get through the next one. I can't.
What is a woman?
An adult human female.
No. You're not.
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. I'm not going for it. Y'all not about to. Let me tell you. This is all. I don't care. I would not lose the Democratic nomination if I said what a woman is, because I'm telling the truth.
According to my favorite aunt, Shaka Khan, well, y'all can say.
Y'all act like it was.
Because I'm not.
Please,
don't say,
thank
but
you.
I'm not shucking and jiving because I have to entertain for.
Oh, you just shucked and jived.
So I'm not going to shuck and jive.
Okay, and finally, someone must tell the usual suspects on the far left that the saying is, when you're in a hole, stop digging, not keep digging. Talk about doubling down on what got you fucked in the first place. Even the one concession I've heard a few people on the losing side offer, that liberals should stop saying the Trump voters are stupid, comes with a kind of unspoken parentheses. We know they are stupid, just don't say it. Yeah, I got bad news for you. They don't have a monopoly on stupid. You wear Queers for Palestine t-shirts and masks 2 years after the pandemic ended. And you can't define woman, person who menstruates. You're the teachers' union education party, and you've turned schools and colleges into a joke. You just lost a crazy contest to an actual crazy person. You love to speak truth to power, and we always should, but you have completely lost the ability to speak truth to bullshit. The Democratic polling firm Blueprint told Democrats months ago that black voters, aka their supposedly liberal base, were more likely to find the president too liberal than too conservative. They also found that voters didn't just want Harris to distance herself from Biden, they wanted her to distance herself from what they believe the entire Democratic Party has become, a Portlandia sketch. A bunch of privileged mean girls complaining about privilege and trying to make fetch happen. What a shocker that the people who see everything through the lens of race and sex see their election loss as a result of racism and sexism. Yes, if only we weren't so irredeemably unenlightened, we would have elected a black president by now. Oh, what, we did? Oh, right, and then re-elected him. Maybe you missed it because it wasn't on TikTok. And sexism? Hillary got 3 million more votes than Trump, which in a normal country would be called a victory. It wasn't 21st century sexism that prevented a woman from being president. It was the Electoral College. Democrats run for office as if the voters don't live here, as if they don't go to the grocery store and Starbucks and the office, but they do. They live here, and they actually see women and people of color, and it doesn't look like some patriarchal racist nightmare. Do problems remain pertaining to racism and sexism? Of course. But a poll last year asked, if America is the greatest country in the world, more blacks and Hispanic Americans agreed with that than the white progressives. It asked if racism is built into our society. White progressives agreed with that at higher levels than black and Hispanic people. It asked if government should increase border security. Same result. Hispanic Americans are less okay with illegal immigration than whitey. The votes are in. They don't want your pity. And black people can't afford to indulge rich white people's need to endlessly flagellate themselves. They just want prices to go down and good jobs and the police when you call them. Black people, they're just like us. Kamala spent 100 days telling voters, I know it feels like crime and illegal immigration are bad, but fuck your feelings. Look at this chart. Yes, there's a lot already about the new regime, but maybe take 1 week to ask what you did wrong. The basis for Democratic campaigns has become, we're the smart people. That we know from the get-go. No need to look into that. We know that a priori, which is a Latin phrase the red hat people wouldn't have a clue about. But they don't need to. Have you seen my "In This House We Believe" lawn sign? See, it says right on it, we believe in science. Right, which is why you demanded no one even debate whether COVID could have escaped from the one lab in the one city where they were studying it. How far-fetched. The New York Times called it racist. Democrats have become like a royal family that, because of so much incest, has unfortunately had children who are retarded. And the same thing can happen to ideas if they are also conceived in an atmosphere of intellectual incest. Maybe take the clothespins off your noses and actually converse with the other half of the country. Stop screaming at people to get with the program and instead make a program worth getting with. What good is liberalism if you don't win elections? Last week, Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton said, I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a formerly male athlete. But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that. Yes, there's the problem in a nutshell. Because Congressman Moulton sounds reasonable to me, but his campaign manager immediately resigned in protest. Let me make this as plain as I can to the smart people. The campaign manager who resigned, yeah, let that person go. Marginalize that guy. Try making too woke be a cancelable offense. It's important for America to have a center-left party, and for that party to be competitive. And a good first step toward that goal would be to make the voters not want to punch you in the face. I will conclude by saying the reason I'm so mad at the Democrats is because as a voter, the issues that were important to me were democracy and the environment. And now, there's no one to champion or defend either of them because you, with your aggressively anti-common sense agenda and shitty exclusionary attitude, blew it. You lost everything. House, Senate, White House, Supreme Court, and left us completely unprotected and ready to be violated. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody!
So, Brooklyn, what did you want us to hear from the racist Bill Maher?
They trying to remove it.
What did you want us to hear there?
I wanted you to hear how this conversation that you guys have been having all day is a reflection of what he just said. Racist or not, it's true. A lot of the things that it's exactly the conversation that we've been having all day in here. And it's actually a lot of the things that you said, Goat.
You know, I talk about it among black people. So I'm not a white guy. I'm not a white guy talking about whitey.
All right. But that's
no, it's not all right. Because I actually recognize that the woman was a black woman and there are deficits against black people and women. And I've never said because Obama won, she should have won. Right? That's not what I said. I said there was a cap on her because she's a black woman. That's the first thing. Secondly, the whole about whitey, I never said that. But keep going. What else did you want us to hear from a guy who's aggressively homophobic?
Let's reverse it. What are 3 things you agree with him on? Don't act like you just disagree with everything he said.
Well, I also agree with Donald Trump inhaling and exhaling.
Well, no, but there are at least 3 things he said that you have said. So
of course there are, because some of it is common sense stuff, but it was an 8-minute screed by a racist white guy.
What you're doing is you're taking an angle as well.
Hold on a second.
Dismiss everything he said.
Hold on a second.
Dismiss it all.
Hold on a second. The credibility of the speaker matters. So when a segregationist said we should fund federal highways, I agreed with that, but you can't align me with Strom Thurmond. I'm not an idiot. So you're not going to have, what are the 3 things you agree with? Like the other day, there were 7 people. You just arbitrarily come up with magic numbers from the Bible. 3, the Trinity, 7, the Muses, 9, come on, I'm not an idiot. Of course he said some things that were true, but we didn't need to hear that from a racist, an open homophobic bigot. Bill Maher, the guy that goes around calling people niggas, an old white dude, and you say, oh, I should, what are 3 things I agree? Here's 3 things I agree with. Happy Thanksgiving. I got Happy Thanksgiving. Good night. And I'm on HBO. Those are the 3 things I agree with.
All right, and you find Lyndon B. Johnson to be credible despite his racism, correct?
Lyndon B. Johnson to be credible?
I'm recording Cloud House.
Lyndon
Credible in what way?
probably gave the best illustration.
Credible? What do you mean credible? I find segregationists to be credible.
All right.
They were credible in their segregationism.
Do you dismiss what Lyndon B. Johnson says because of his racism?
Do I dismiss what he says? About what?
The same way you're dismissing Bill Maher right now.
Lyndon B. Johnson was born in 1890. Lyndon B. Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. What does Bill Maher sign? Oh, he got a head from a black lady.
Yeah.
Why do you compare Bill Maher to Lyndon B. Johnson?
No,
What is wrong with you?
it's psychotic. Nangoku Gozian lives in Boston.
What did Bill Maher sign for black people? He signed the Voting Rights Act, the Fair Housing
Talking
Act,
shit about
and
Bill
the
Maher.
Civil Rights Act. What did Bill Maher sign besides his signature on Superhead's face? Pause. Why would you compare a president to a comic who's not funny, and because a bunch of 18-year-olds don't want to bring him to campus, he says, because they're woke. He's not funny. Nobody in here laughed one time.
Who's that?
What does Bill Maher have to do with Lyndon
No.
B. Johnson?
Gozian, Thugger Biden.
So you have some standards.
Vaccinologist.
Brooklyn, what did you like
Pfizer
about
Communications
Brooklyn,
Executive.
what did you like
Has
about the video that
spent
was so
years
good that you had to
here
hear from the
trumping for
racists?
Kamala.
I like what
He's having a
you
mental
said
breakdown
about
because Kamala is
how
lost and
sensitive
Donnie is
the
becoming
fucking
the
Democrats
president.
are.
Okay.
Case in point.
Are you looking for
Listen
any
how
job?
you're talking to me, right? I liked how he said that wokeism is the biggest issue. You say
What is
anything.
wokeism?
Wokeism. You say
What is it?
anything that the left doesn't like, and they want to cancel you. They want to fucking dox you and harass you.
The name of this
and
room
fucking
is
treat
MAGA,
you like you're the worst,
Risks
like you're
to
fucking
National
a terrorist
Security.
or some shit. Yes.
Okay, so I got you.
5.5 thousand
So
comments.
So the Dixie Chicks, they were canceled
And
by
right
leftist
now there's
wokeism.
how many people in this room? It doesn't even say anymore.
Dixie Chicks. Who was that?
Because they were the original
Not that
people
many, it's
who were
like-
canceled from their response to George W. Bush.
I don't know. They didn't.
Or you
They
only know
didn't
about
tell
it
me
now
why.
because you're online and not too high to remember.
Said it was like
Yeah, I don't even know
spam
who
and
the fuck
deceptive
the Dixie
practices
Chicks
and
is.
scams.
Okay.
I'm like,
So
what?
wokeism is not something that's just on the left.
If I don't know about them,
Okay, so let me give you some. I'll give you some other ones. I'll give you some other ones.
I think it has to do with the Zaz.
First of all, what
Hold
you
on,
have
hold on.
to do?
My point is,
No. First of all,
Yeah,
okay.
backwards that
Let's be
spells
very clear.
VAX.
shut the fuck up. Now I'm done speaking. I'm done the conversation with Brooklyn. I'll never talk to her again. She's another idiot.
Cause see, you go too goddamn far, and you think that just because you have the mind.
Hello?
I'm fucking crying.
And I'm not moving her down either.
That's just
I'm actually
fuck
not
you
moving
too.
her down.
Yeah, I don't care. Fuck you too. You don't have to move me down. I'll move
I didn't
myself.
move you down.
Fuck you and whoever did it too. How about that?
Don't do that, y'all. Brooklyn is a part of the family. We can have disagreements.
So she needed Bill Maher to make a point that she could have made. You need to hear. So she interrupted the space of conversation 5 times. She jumped in to play a Bill Maher thing that wasn't funny. And I asked her specifically. I said wokeism. So she didn't know who the Dixie Chicks was. Cool. What do we need Bill Maher for? That was my question.
That's how MAGA starts right there. That's the beginning.
I don't care how MAGA starts. It's also how it ends. Omar, it doesn't matter because on MAGA you can cancel people, you can insult and dox people, and it's all good. Right? They do that on the other side, which is what I was trying to get, which was why I brought up the Dixie Chicks. But of course, she's talking about wokeism, and if I give her examples on the other side, she doesn't know them. So in her mind, it's only on one side. Because according to her, wokeism was on the left. That's where they dox. As if right-wingers don't dox. As if right-wingers don't cancel.
Yeah.
They're about to cancel thousands of federal employees for disagreeing with their ideology.
I don't think it gets as much play, though.
Of course it doesn't, because people like Brooklyn aren't interested, and they listen to people like Bill Maher, and you conflate people like Bill Maher with motherfucking Lyndon Baines Johnson, a B-tier comedian. That's why it doesn't get any play. Do you think?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. You cannot bring Bill Maher into conversations because he's an asshole. He's the dude that Will Smith should have slapped. Let's just keep it real. He gets all the fucking smoke. Never, ever use Bill Maher for anything. That dude should have been canceled. Like,
hold on, Royal. Eric says I'm trending really closely to abusing a woman. How about this, Eric? Fuck you, Eric Pone. You're not a woman. I'm verbally abusing you. Fuck off. How's that sound? Fuck you.
This is funny to me.
It's funny to me too. If a bunch of motherfucking Brett, he's getting treading really closely to verbally abusing a woman. Verbally abuse my left nut, which hangs lower than my right.
Pause.
Gross.
You use briefs or boxer briefs?
What did I return to?
That's what Bill Maher needs to talk about. How the Democrats are a bunch of pussies like Eric Pone. And that's coming from a bitch-ass nigga like me. You're pussy. That's what the problem with the Democrats is. Oh my God, it's the wokeism. I mean, they want to give civil rights to so-and-so. No, you pussy. You a bitch. That's what Democrats are. We're bitches. MAGA ain't bitch. MAGA ain't bitch. That's why the watermelon people won't protest over there. They'll come over here. You have a little line, so-and-so. The Democrats, we are pussy.
The watermelon
bitch.
What are you
Bitch ass niggas.
The Palestinian.
Bitch ass nigga. The watermelon people will interrupt her speech. They haven't interrupted Donald Trump one time. Democrats are bitches. Pussies. That's what we are. Oh my God, he's getting so close to verbally abusing a woman. How do you know she a woman? Do you know her gender? Don't misgender. You a bitch, Eric, just like I am. And what? Eric Pone, not Eric R. I don't know if Eric R. is a bitch now. Democrats are pussy. It's politics. Go ahead, do your thing. God bless you all.
Hey, go, man. Y'all, the Democrats left a lot of the warrior class, and the men that left.
That's what they did. They pussy.
You always trying to creep your fat ass in, bitch. No.
Only 12%.
I'm not crashing out. I just told you I'm going to cook you.
I told you shut up.
I'm gonna take your advice.
You're not a warrior. Like you can't beat dust off a pair of boots. You're not a warrior. A lot of y'all niggas think y'all warriors, and y'all think y'all voted for something that y'all wish to be. So vote aspirationally, but you're not a warrior, Omar. You can't fight your way out of a wet paper bag, sis.
Wow, what is going on today?
What's going on in here, man?
Omar, you gonna take that?
Hey, man, I'm saying on me.
It must be
Everything
true.
else.
Hey, ML, just want
Hey,
to crash
Lieutenant
out,
General
man.
Kamau, how you doing today?
I'm not crashing out. I'm just telling you, you're corny. You're corny. And I'm going to remind you of that every time you use my warrior class. You're not a warrior.
All right, cool.
Right. So
Can we get back to the scholarship? Get back to the scholarship.
Yeah, hush it. Yeah, so then you shouldn't be talking at all. So you go on mute, and then we'll let the scholars talk, okay?
Because y'all know Jeffy the scholar.
Yeah, well, if I'm not, you definitely are, new poop.
Yeah, he gotta listen.
Dang.
Yo,
Oh no, we got breaking news. Oh no, everybody, breaking news. I've lost all credibility in Eric Pone's eye. Oh my God, what will I ever do?
I hate y'all. I hate you. I hate you. I still love you, Lady and Mel. The rest of you motherfuckers, I can't stand.
How come you didn't include me in that? That's messed up.
School, I hate you the most. The laughing just stopped. Respectfully.
But we gotta toughen up, you guys. You know, it's not that bad. But that Bill Maher shit was not Brooklyn. I don't know. You know, I love you dearly, but I don't know. You smoked before you did that.
What's in the New York thing? What's happening in New York right now?
And you watch something, you be like, yo, that was mad funny. And then you watch it now, you be like,
leave Brooklyn alone.
Didn't I tell y'all earlier?
But maybe it was a situation like that. No, Brooklyn all over.
I said, CEO gonna come back in here telling us that everybody gotta love each other, and we still gotta find the good in everything. And he came here and did that with Bill Maher. That's what happened when I left. I couldn't listen to the clip.
Oh no, I'm not that much on Bill Maher. And good job on the LBJ smoke. Good job. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna go that far on Bill Maher.
Well, CEO, I'm curious. Why did you try to compare Bill Maher?
I wasn't comparing.
LBJ.
I wasn't comparing.
Because he only hates extremes.
I was trying to understand Goat's thought process, because like obviously he takes credibility from people that he thinks is racist. So
Wait,
he gave his response.
thought process? That's everybody's thought process. What the fuck?
But Royal. He's responding to.
I got you.
Yeah, I know, but I'm talking.
But I can't stand Bill Maher.
Let me finish, because I've been quiet for the last hour, and I'm talking, so please don't interrupt me. CEO, you were comparing LBJ with Bill Maher when you asked the question that you asked him. That's how comparison works. You were making one.
Well, that wasn't my intention.
Hey, Siri. Hey, Siri. What's the weather in New York?
It needs to rain.
It's raining tomorrow.
Blazing hip hop and R&B.
Chicago is getting its first snow tomorrow.
First snow. Oof.
So for all those
winter is coming.
Somebody had on booty shorts today, yo. Yeah.
The Kamala and Biden weren't focused on working families.
They did. She ain't have no butt either.
What do you have to say about the federal court striking down Biden's plan for overtime expansion? Any thoughts? And by the way,
come on, lady.
federal court in Texas.
Lady, you know when Trump said he's gonna not tax overtime pay, they're gonna do the okie doke and take overtime away.
And it was a judge appointed by Trump.
That's the okie doke, right?
Bullshit.
Hey, Hurricane, what circuit court is in Texas?
There isn't a circuit court in Texas, but I believe the federal courts in Texas are under the Fifth Circuit, which is in Louisiana, I believe.
Yeah, the judge was Sean D. Jordan.
Yeah, he struck down overtime. I don't know these people. I mean, these people are stupid, but
Shut up. You don't work overtime. You don't work at all.
I work. I can't get overtime because I'm salary. I'm privileged.
Yeah, but that's the point.
Why are you talking then?
You were talking
do you
about.
even know what decision she's talking about? Like,
Yes, I read it today. A judge struck down
the whole thing.
Biden pushed for overtime pay to be doubled it actually, which is really great, to 58,000 from 30-something thousand, and a judge struck down that decision.
Trump judge.
Oh, that what happened?
Trump judge struck down the decision because that would have put so much money into so many people's pockets. But I don't know, because it will be tax-free up to 58,000. I don't know why the fuck they did that. They're retarded, but
you don't know why. That's the whole project.
I know, I'm just saying I don't know why.
And you're talking about working class families. You see why black folks have voted for
you guys think the Heritage Foundation and all thing they have wrote, you think the 2025 part, y'all think it's a joke?
Yep, they do.
Y'all think it's a joke?
Library, I can't get overtime.
Well, my companies won't let me work overtime. Let me put it that way.
I thought you just thought that since you got a salary that you couldn't get overtime. I didn't want them to.
No, they won't let you. Only on very strict. Like it has to be very special.
Wait, when did you get a real job? I thought you were.
Wow, what the fuck does that mean?
School has always had a real job.
School told us he was a house flipper. I didn't know he had a real.
Oh. No, I did it on the side.
Oh, I thought that was like your whole job, and like you lived off like your wife got the property.
Wow, I hate you.
And then you flipped them, and that was what you.
No, my wife's a pharmacist, and I am a cybersecurity specialist. I'm a security engineer.
Oh yeah, because you have your MBA, and that's why I said MBAs aren't real degrees, and people told me I was wrong.
School, you got an MBA?
Yeah.
I was an MBA, not a real degree, and MBA.
School has an MBA. Everybody I've ever heard, everyone I've ever heard not make any sense has an MBA, and it's not.
I have an MBA. Come on now.
No.
Okay, all right.
Well, I have an MBA. I have one too.
All right, well, no, not you who studies. You're different. You're special.
Hey, Dr. Labrie, my MBA pays me nicely by the way.
It does pay out, but I've only all these people with MBAs and they study finance and they just talk like they don't. I don't think that's real. I don't know what they're teaching y'all in there, but like they don't come out with the critical thinking skills everybody else does. So I've been trying to think like. I'm actually doing a survey on it. Most people with MBAs, they just.
I don't make sense. School, you went to Phoenix? You went to Phoenix?
No, I went to WVU. I think most of y'all don't have critical.
Why are you guys banging on school like that?
No, I'm not.
I was just gonna say they treat school worse than concrete.
Y'all always act like school is uneducated, and when I be trying to tell y'all he got more degrees than half the people in the room.
More degrees and certifications.
And that's
I got
why I'm telling y'all degrees, MBAs,
CISSP, Security Plus, GCIH. I am decked out in certifications.
Yeah. So having degrees mean nothing if you don't know how to utilize them. So basically, this is just
and still hasn't commissioned.
No, I tried to commission Patty, but it was bullshit. Y'all.
No, they wouldn't let you commission.
No,
school, you tried?
Yeah, that shit was.
They tried, and they're desperate for office.
That shit was so bullshit.
School, how can you not get in? You're in the guard.
No, because
you don't
it was
need
such
to pass the
bullshit.
board. That's all that means.
ML, you're comparing your. Come on, bro. Just stop this. Your critical thinking skills with schools? Come on, bro.
No.
Are you serious?
No, he's the commission. Commissioning ain't that
hard. I know it ain't that hard. He's in the
You
guard.
know what? He went to a board. That means he failed the board.
No. I didn't fail the board. No.
Simple critical thinking skills that
Whoa.
Jerry was talking about.
I started the commission, and then I was like, this is just bullshit. I don't want to do it anymore, and I stopped it.
No, you didn't. It was really easy. All you had to do was put your packet together and ask some critical thinking skill questions.
School, I'm seriously disappointed in you.
I couldn't do it anymore, ML. That bullshit box eating method that y'all were making me do, sitting in attention to eat breakfast. I was just like, I'm done with this.
Where? What are you talking about?
What the fuck are you talking about?
When I went
to together, you go before.
I already did all of that. I was already in week 0 of OCS.
Fucking questions and you
I know, but I was in week 0 of OCS. I'm telling you, Patty, I started OCS and I just didn't like what they were doing. I was like, this is just too much, and I'm done.
No, they don't just say you're done.
So,
I don't know what OCS you went to.
You quit at OCS?
Yeah. No, yeah, because...
No, wait. How easy is it to just say I'm done?
It was very easy, because, okay, Patty, we have 2 versions of OCS. I could have gone to the active duty version of OCS, which is at, what, Fort Rucker?
We're from out of town. And have you ever wondered?
I could have gone to in Alabama for OCS, but I decided to do it through my state, which is 18 months.
This is not entertaining at all. I am not entertaining.
I want to hear a royal versus school debate.
You don't want to.
Royal will get cooked. Give me one day and a topic that Royal will get cooked.
Yes, I'll get cooked. Yep.
Give a topic with Royal.
Do that right now.
And give me a time to fucking sit down and look at what I need to look at.
Him and Omar need to have a debate.
I ain't gonna lie. I think I can cook anybody in here. This is top.
You can't cook a bologna sandwich.
I'll put $100 on it. I'll put anyone in
This
this.
is Black History. Can't none of y'all fuck with me on Black History.
Omar and Drex, go.
I can't do it.
I know, I'm more of a roaster, so I could like cook on more, like roasting. And then I saw your picture, so you never wanted with me, son.
Trust me, if I wasn't busy right now, I get it.
Boy, I would, if I just
set up a date and time, though.
The way I would do it, I would practice myself. It would be like real, like a few days.
I'm gonna bring Omar was the first person I met on this app.
Omar, you could like just I'll roast one of you. Who's a worse MAGA? I'll roast them instead of you. They could get to work. But you come in here.
You be lumping me in with other MAGA.
Yeah, because you.
A MAGA is a MAGA.
Yeah.
No, but I just voted for Trump. I mean, I'm not a hardliner.
No.
You definitely are.
You're with them.
That's why Corey be chasing you around.
Okay, so this is pumpernickel bread.
How you made all the gay boys mad? You can't go on your Did Corey chase you out the room later?
Lady, I promise you.
That was over something else.
Lady, I will never vote for Trump again, I promise.
Why? School, why? What happened?
Okay, so it's Sunday night.
He's being a smart ass.
Yeah, he gonna be serious after this for years.
Exactly.
So
as long as I'm rich, I don't really care. I just need to get a million.
You're not gonna get rich.
He lives in West Virginia. All you need to make is $5.25 an hour.
That's true.
We have to worry about that. Let's not get carried away though.
But if you think West Virginia's a shithole now,
well, rich in West Virginia now. Okay, that's plausible. You only gotta make like $20 an hour.
You got a dental plan.
Yo, I could buy it.
Wow, a dental plan. She went there. Okay, wow.
Yeah, cause where you live? You live in Harper's Ferry?
No, but I go there a lot though.
Hey,
that's where John Brown Civil War.
hey, Just, that's the only place in West Virginia I like. Harper's Ferry. Apart from that,
You like that steady ass Harper's Ferry?
What the fuck else is there?
I know, exactly.
Martinsburg, West Virginia is big.
There's Martinsburg, there's Berkeley Springs where George Washington's bathtub is. There's
who the fuck gives a fuck?
There's George Washington's bathtub. Yeah, his hot springs. There's Moorfield where the chicken factory is. That's where I live. There's
my nigga,
yeah.
Nobody cares, okay? Nobody cares, okay?
And then
listen, I'm from the South Bronx, and that's way more interesting than West Virginia. Come on, stop.
Don't interrupt school if you're afraid to debate him, because you're afraid of his intellect, and now you want to interrupt him and talk about him.
You get cooked.
Exactly.
Okay, great. I'll be If y'all can come up with $10,000, I'll debate him. Otherwise,
I got it in my bank account. You get cooked.
You always have it, and you're scared. You won't put up that money in school right now.
No, I didn't say bet. I said, no, you got to give me the $10,000. I'm not wasting my time debating anybody.
Why would you?
Because I'm not wasting my time debating anybody for free. What the fuck? I used to debate for money.
Look,
You didn't get $10,000.
You don't know me that well.
Tell me what the day you did for $5,000.
Royal is just a DJ.
Tell me what the day you did for $5,000.
Talk about it. He's just a DJ. A bad DJ.
Who works at the chicken factory? The chicken factory that you're near, the immigrants work there?
So many of them. A lot of them are illegal.
You calling in?
No, I don't work there. I work from home.
No, I'm saying you're going to call when Trump get in, you're going to call in on him?
No, I don't care.
Well, let me call in.
I use a lot of illegal immigrants to do house stuff.
So this is how you slice.
I'm going to call in.
Royal, when you say
You better not be out there.
Yeah,
'Cause
just send them to school's house and school will direct them from there. Just send them to school and then just tell them.
They can put your ass on a hold until they find out who you are. School. They're gonna be like, do I detect an accent?
I don't have an accent like that.
You want to have this machine that you can talk into. They can tell what country you're from.
It will probably come out if you're nervous anyway. Your accent will probably come out.
Royal was debating on
become a big content creator one day.
what's that called? Toastmasters.
Wait, you're a black immigrant who voted for Trump? I'm sorry, I'm like late to the party.
What is Toastmasters?
Like a debate club for grown people.
Elon Musk. Who has what Toastmasters is?
I've never heard of it.
Case in point, right? You see what I'm saying? And y'all talking about for free? Fuck out of
He has asterisk by his degree.
You never heard of
Dr. Library, he has asterisk by his degree, okay?
Other people don't ask for money on Clubhouse to debate, so why would you have to put money on it?
Because I'm not wasting my time on this shit.
Yeah, but other people do it.
Listen, it's a job.
and you know, you want me to tell you how I know that?
I'll give you $10.
Hold on. I'm gonna tell you how I know. Hold on, I'm gonna tell you how I know Royal's scared of school and his intellect. Because Royal DJs for money, but he DJ battled me for free on Clubhouse and lost, but won't debate school for free. You lost to me your real job on Clubhouse because you actually get paid for it, but you won't debate school for free because you're afraid.
Okay,
Because you're afraid of.
That's not DJ. Playing
You're afraid of school. You're afraid that you're smart.
Nobody cares about
Envy.
That's nice. Good. That's cool. Yes. I'm really smart. You can debate. Great.
Hurricane is trying to Don King this situation, but it's not working. Hurricane, you gotta tap into your inner 4C hair and get that Don King thing. You gotta kick it up a notch because Roy's not even biting.
Well, you know, I'm in the 2A, 2C range, so I don't know about the issue. But it's fine.
They saying it's a 6F. They say it's a 6F.
My hair? Please, y'all haven't seen this beautiful hair. My hair is not success.
That would still be beautiful. Nappy hair is beautiful.
That's true.
Is there a such thing as big stuff?
No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I thought I had grade 4 hair, but then folks saw my hair and told me that I was in the 2 range. I was shocked.
4C.
You're not in the 2. You're definitely in the 2. No, what you want? You look like white.
That's usually like fine hair.
There are folks in this room that want to do that. I'm not going to put them
White
out.
people, CEO probably has a
No.
but other people got
What, CEO? You got a process?
Oh shit, it's not a process.
He looks like he has a
Like the old people, you got a process?
Not a kid.
Who has healthy
Nah, you know, old people call it a kid.
The heart of that. All the while asking
Supergirl.
And I'd love to ask him, why do you have millions of people to come in here from
Let me find out CEO be out there in Dubai with a kid. I know that shit be hot.
What are the tariffs going to do to the beauty supply industry? I know when they were talking about the supply chain potential issues during COVID, I quickly ordered my hair from overseas. Quickly.
Well,
what happens when China stops sending things over?
Exactly. What y'all gonna do with the hair? Who gonna grow it here?
Listen, let me round up a couple of potatoes.
No, you didn't.
Wow.
I already know how to gather and everything. So y'all hit me
You need to hook up with Marcus. Marcus is in the hair industry. He always talking about supply chains and customer funnels. He might need your help with this.
Listen, I live around. I got y'all. I'm about to go and holler at some of my people. Well, not my people, but I'm gonna go. And I know one day. I know like 3 girls right now. I can go and get a whole rack. What you doing up with all that? Throwing about $35.
35.
Yeah, they can go to the bar for 35. Gotta keep them bright. Look, it's the free market. Since we undercut, we in the Trump era. That's what I'm offering, 35 if they take it.
Oh, you pay 35 for your haircut?
No, I'm saying, hell no. I was saying, I'm gonna get some of the girls to, some of the Eurasian haired ladies and the Indian and haired ladies to cut their hair and give it to me for $35. And I'm gonna sell it to my sisters. For a little bit more than that.
Please don't scroll. Please don't scroll.
I am not my hair. Let me see. School. Was this your lunch you made, school?
Yep, plantains and beans.
Oh, okay. Is this like supposed to be a diet or something? What's up?
No, it's not a diet. I don't go on diets.
Where are the green vegetables?
I don't eat vegetables. I drink them.
So you have a juicer?
Beans isn't a vegetable?
Yeah, I have a smoothie maker and a juicer.
I meant green vegetables.
Oof. So,
that shit juice away all the fiber. Got
huh?
School, tell them don't talk to you if it ain't about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, tell them stop tell them stop being scary. Don't address you about nothing.
You talking about the Pope, but if he do the you got a ninja school? Or like
yeah, I got a ninja and I have it starts with a K. The juicer I have starts with a K.
Oh yeah, I know the one. So the juicer does, but the other one, if he got a ninja, you know that put you in business. That grinds even up the seeds.
Yeah, so school, I think the million picture would benefit from better lighting. I mean, beans and plantains work well together, but you just didn't present them properly. That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You could have done it better.
Yeah, what the fuck is that?
Yeah. I mean, not dog shit. Not too much on West African.
I could've. Come on, he could have got a separate little pretty glass clear bowl.
Y'all make mofongo, and now you want to talk about
No.
Okay, this is Freedom is a Two-Edged Sword by Parsons. Okay, this is Freedom is a Two-Edged Sword. This is a Parsons book. Hope you enjoyed that Clubhouse recording. Timestamp on it is 11/20/24, 5:19 p.m. CST. Thanks, everybody. Please like, share, subscribe. Two-Edged Sword. This is a Parsons book. Hope you enjoyed that Clubhouse recording. Okay, this is Jack Parsons' Freedom Two-Edged Sword audiobook. Adrian Diven. Okay, Freedom is a Two-Edged Sword, essays by John Whitside Parsons, or a Flame, #1. Edited by Cameron and Hymenaeus Beta. Introduction. Do what thou wilt should be the whole of the law. Okay, this book is called Freedom is a Two-Edged Sword by John Parsons. John W. Parsons was born 1914 in Pasadena, a chemical engineer and explosives expert. He was a principal scientist in the Experimental Rocket Research Group attached to the California Institute of Technology. Their testing range at Arroyo Seco in Pasadena has since grown to become the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, the design and command center for the American Planetary Exploration Program. Parsons co-founded Aerojet General Corporation, now the manufacturing of the Space Shuttle solid fuel booster rockets in the wake of the Challenger disaster. In 1972, the International Astronomical Union named the lunar crater Parsons, 37 degrees north, 171 degrees west, to recognize his pivotal role in developing the solid fuel rocket. Together with his first wife, Parsons joined the OTO in 1941 EV. He was very much the young lion of the order, where he immersed himself in the study of the occult. He briefly served as acting master of Agape Lodge, which operated from a mansion in Pasadena. A satisfactory account of his now famous Babylon working of 1946 has yet to be published. This working reset the course of Parsons' life, ending his relationship with Aleister Crowley and the OTO. Most published accounts focus on his friendship and falling out with Church of Scientology founder L. Ron Hubbard, without appraising the larger issues of what was actually being attempted and why. The present volume will hopefully serve as a foundation for a more serious study of Parsons' thought, work, and influence. Jack Parsons' study of magic was not a flight from reason, neither was it escapism or any of the other excuses made for intelligent students of the occult by helpful apologists. Parsons' work was squarely in the best tradition of experimental science, that of revolutionaries such as Roger Bacon, John Dee, and Isaac Newton, who shifted the paradigm of scientific and occult thought and enlarged our world. Although Parsons died young, his thought, not yet fully matured, his intellectual promise can be clearly discerned. Parsons' essays reveal his familiarity with the literature of anthropology, psychology, and mythology. His unpublished correspondence shows him capable of simultaneously citing Carl Jung, Joseph Campbell, and Aleister Crowley. He also drew on science fiction and fantasy literature, not simply for the speculative science, but for the myths, utopias, and negative utopias such literature describes. The quintessential post-war American, Parsons did not doubt the ideal world he imagined was possible. He asked the large questions and expected answers, but like the engineer that he was, he expected them to work. As a Thelemite, he wanted them to work for everyone, long before women's rights, civil rights, human rights, ecological rights, reproductive rights, or war, rights to rights, in the dark days when rights was a dirty word. He had the courage to actually do what he could and the vision to foresee much of the rest. In his surviving essays and polemical writings, much of which were written around 1950, Parsons anticipates for many years the ethical, moral, religious, and social dilemmas of the following half-century. Most of his solutions remain untried. Parsons died in 1952 in a laboratory explosion of mysterious origin. His collaborator, magical student, and second wife, Cameron, has preserved and carried on his work. These essays, many published here for the first time, survive in holograph, MS, or in the form of transcripts prepared by the Thelemic scholar Gerald J. York. Although many are fragmentary, early drafts or outlines, revision and copy editing have been kept to a minimum. Notes within brackets give additional editorial information, and unless otherwise noted, lacunae indicated by an ellipsis. The editors wish to thank Kenneth Anger and the Warburg Institute, University of London, for their kind assistance. In the mid-1940s, Jack Parsons published an issue of the Oriflamme, a traditional OTO journal that was first issued by Theodore Roos, out ahead of the OTO some 40 years earlier. The present issue begins a new series of the Oriflamme and is respectfully dedicated to the memory of Frater Superior Merlin Peregrinos Theodore Wilson Roos. Love is the law, love under will. Hymenaeus Beta, Frater Superior, OTO, Agape, Grand Lodge, New York, Autumn Equinox, 33111 or 39, something like that. I'm not sure what that is. Freedom is a two-edged sword. Preface. Since I first wrote this essay in 1946, some of my most ominous predictions have been all too grimly fulfilled. Public employees have been subjected to the ignominy and indignity of loyalty oaths and loyalty purges. Members of the United States Senate, moving under the cloak of immunity and the excuse of emergency, have made a joke of justice and a mockery of privacy. Constitutional immunity and legal procedure have been consistently violated, and that which once, not so long ago, would have been a universal outrage in America, is today refused even a review by the Supreme Court. The golden voice of Social Security, of socialize this and socialize that, with its attendant confiscatory taxation and intrusion on individual liberty, is everywhere raised and everywhere heeded. England has entered the aegis of a regime synonymous with total regimentation. Austria, Hungary, Yugoslavia, and Czechoslovakia have fallen victims to communism, and the United States is in the process of making deals with the barbarous and corrupt dictatorships of Argentina and Spain. As I write, the United States Senate is pursuing a burlesque investigation into the sphere of private sexual morals, which for all its buffoonery will cause pain and sorrow to many innocent persons in an intolerable and grotesque invasion of their rights. The inertia and acquiescence which allows the almost complete suspension of our liberties would once have been unthinkable. The present ignorance and indifference is appalling and almost unbelievable. That little which is worthwhile in civilization and culture is made possible by the few who are capable of creative thinking and independent action, with the grudging assistance of the rest. When the majority of men surrender their freedom, barbarism is near. When the minority surrender it, we are in the dark ages. Even the word liberalism is suspect through the unmitigated effort of fuzzy heads who believe it is synonymous with Russian bootlicking. And humanism is no more than a front for the totalism of the church. Science that was going to save the world back in H.G. Wells' time is regimented, straight-jacketed, scared, shitless, its universal language diminished to one word: security. In this 1950 view, some of my more hopeful utterances may appear almost naive. However, I was never so naive as to believe that freedom in any sense of the word is possible to more than a few. But I have believed and do believe that these few, by self-sacrifice, by wisdom, by courage, by continuous and tremendous effort, can achieve and maintain a free world. The labor is heroic, but it can be done. By example and by education, it can be achieved. This is the faith that built America. This is the faith that America has surrendered. And this is the faith that I call on America to renew or perish. We are one nation and one world. The soul of the slums looks out of the eyes of Wall Street, and the fate of a Chinese coolie determines the destiny of America. We cannot suppress our brother's liberty without murdering ourselves. We will stand together as men for human freedom and human dignity, or we will fall together, simians all, back to the swamp. In this very late hour, it is with solutions that we must be primarily concerned. I seem to be living in a nation that simply does not know what freedom is. We believe that it is a word, a piece of paper, something we are told that we have, that we tell each other we have. Indeed, it is more, far more than that. It is to that object, to the definition of freedom, to its understanding in order that it may be obtained and defended, that this essay is devoted. I need not add that freedom is a dangerous thing, but it is hardly possible that we are all cowards. Chapter 1, A Sword is Drawn. For numberless centuries, society unquestioningly accepted the proposition that certain men were created to be slaves, whose natural function was to serve priests and kings, nobles and great lords, men of substance and property that were appointed slave masters by Almighty God. Further, this system was reinforced by the established doctrines that all men and women were owned, their minds by the church, their bodies by the state. This convenient situation was supported by a considerable body of authority, morals, religion, and philosophy. Against this doctrine, some 200 years ago, was openly raised the most astonishing heresy the world has ever known, the principle of liberalism. In essence, this principle stated that all men were created equal and endowed with inalienable rights. The words inalienable rights means rights which cannot be taken away, which belong to a man as his birthright. This principle appealed to certain intractable spirits, heretics, atheists, and revolutionaries. It has since, in spite of the opposition of the majority of organized society, made some headway. Is a doctrine that has become so popular that it is rendered lip service by all major states. But it is so distasteful to persons in authority and seeking authority that it is nowhere embodied as a fundamental law and is continuously violated in letter and in spirit by every trick and expedient of bigotry and reaction. For the absolutist and totalitarian groups of the most vicious nature use liberalism as a cloak under which they move to re-establish tyrannies and extinguish the liberty of all opponents. Thus, religious groups seek to abrogate freedom of art, speech, and the press. Reactionaries move to suppress labor, and communists to establish dictatorships. All in the name of freedom. Thus, because of the peculiar distinctions given to freedom by some of these camouflaged tyrants, it seems necessary to redefine freedom in terms in which it was understood by that depraved cynic Voltaire, the dirty atheist Paine, the traitor Washington, the radical revolutionary Jefferson, and the anarchist Emerson. Freedom is a two-edged sword, of which one edge is liberty and the other responsibility, on which both edges are exceedingly sharp and which is not easily handled by casual, cowardly, or treacherous hands. For it has been sharpened by many conflicts, tempered in many fires, quenched by much blood, and although it is always ready for the use of the courageous and high-hearted, it will not remain when the spirit that forged it is gone. Now, since all tyrannies are based on dogmas, that is, on fundamental statements of absolute fact, and since all dogmas are based on lies, it behooves us first to seek for truth, and freedom will not be far away. And the truth is that we know nothing. Objectively, we know nothing at all, or any system of intellectual thought, whether it be science, logic, religion, or philosophy, is based on certain fundamental ideas or axioms which are assumed but which cannot be proved. This is the grave of all positivism. We assume, but we do not know that there is a real and objective world outside our own mind. Ultimately, we do not know what we are, or what the world is. Further, if there is a real world apart from ourselves, we cannot know what that is. All we know is what we perceive it to be. All that we perceive is conveyed by our senses and interpreted by our brain. And however fine, exact, or delicate our instruments may be, they are still perceived by these senses and interpreted by that brain. However useful, spectacular, or necessary my ideas and experiments may be, they still have nothing to do with absolute truth or authority. Such a thing can only exist for the individual according to his whim or fancy, or his inner perception of his own truth and being. The witches and devils of the Middle Ages were real by our own standards. All reputable and respectable persons believed in them. They were seen, their effects observed, and they perfectly accounted for a large body of otherwise inexplicable phenomena. Their existence was accepted without question by the majority of men, great and humble, and from this majority there was not and still is not any appeal. Yet we do not believe in these things today. We believe in other things, similarly explaining the same phenomena. Tomorrow we will believe in still other things. We believe, but we do not know. All our deductions. For example, the theories of gravitation are based on observed statistics, on tendencies observed to occur in a certain way. But even if our observations are correct, we do not know why these things happen, or if they have always done so, or that they will continue to do so. All our theories are only assumptions, however reasonable they may seem. There is a sort of truth based on experience. We know that we feel hot or hungry or in love, but these feelings cannot by any means be conveyed to anyone who has not experienced them. We can describe them in terms of other things familiar to him. We can analyze their cause and effect according to mutually acceptable theories, but he will not have the vaguest idea of what the feeling is like. These may be very negative considerations, but within the limits we can deduce very positive principles. Number one, whatever the universe is, we are either all or part of it by virtue of our consciousness, but we do not know which. No philosophy, theory, religion, or system of thought can be absolute and infallible. They are relative only. One man's opinion is just as good as another's. There is no absolute justification for emphasizing one individual theory or way of life over another. Number four, every man has the right to his own opinion and his own way of life. There is no system of human thought which can successfully refute this thesis. That much for positivism. But other things remain that are necessity, expediency, and convenience. If these are illusions, they are still very popular illusions, and it is usual to consider them. Politics is concerned with necessity and expediency, whereas science is concerned with convenience. This is not, however, intended to discredit science and reason in their proper spheres. Reason is one of our greatest gifts, the power that differentiates us from the animals. And science is our greatest tool and our best hope for building a genuine civilization. It is curious that this modern truism appears in this system of reasoning as a concession. But in spite of its inestimable value, science is a tool. It has nothing to do with ultimate truth. Herein is the danger of science as a tool. It is so valuable, so useful, and so irresistible that we incline to regard it as the arbiter of the absolute, giving final and irrefutable pronouncement on all things. This is exactly the position that the pedant, the dogmatist, and the dialectical materialist would have us take. Then posing as a scientist or propounding scientific doctrine, he can persuade us to accept his values and obey his orders. Today must forever be free to overthrow its yesterdays. Otherwise it will degenerate into ancestor worship. But it is necessary that we defend freedom unless we all wish to be slaves. It is expedient that we achieve brotherhood unless we desire destruction. And it is convenient that we grant others the right to their own opinions and lives in order to maintain our own. The intelligent individual will not base his conduct on an arbitrary or absolute concept of right and wrong. It may be argued that all motives and all actions are selfish, since they are intended to satisfy some requirement of the ego. Perhaps this is true of self-sacrifice, abnegation, and the highest altruism. We engage in these things in order to satisfy ourselves, to attain some object. The ego may be very broad. A man may include the whole world as a part of his ego and set out to redeem or save this world for no other reason than that he gain pleasure from this idea. Such a man, far from being unselfish, is extremely egotistical. Even the artist devoted to the production of pure beauty is so because of his need and his nature. At least such egotism is not petty. The motives of family, love, and patriotism are all rooted in biology. This does not necessarily detract from such actions and motives. Everything in nature is beautiful, and it is no less beautiful because it is understood. But the stupid man will assign arbitrary values to all things in order to protect and justify his own position. His morals are based on things which he wishes were true or which someone else wishes were true. His philosophy pays no attention to relative facts or realities, but in his life he must deal with relative facts and realities, and consequently he is constantly involved with pretenses and evasions. The enlightened liberal needs no such justification. He will realize and accept his inherent selfishness and the inherent selfishness of all men. He will understand living as technique, the technique of getting what he wants on the terms he wants. Stealing may be the most direct means of acquiring property, but unless he steals a considerable amount of prison sentence is a possible corollary of his action. On the other hand, he may observe with dismay the subtle disintegration of character attendant upon the so-called legitimate business life. His problem then is not only to acquire the things he needs, but to get them in some entertaining, or at least non-devastating manner. Perhaps he will decide it is not worth the effort, but in all problems there is no question of right involved. There is only the question of technique and of cost. Such is the case with freedom. If we abrogate another's freedom to gain our ends, our own freedom is thereby jeopardized. That is the cost. If we wish to secure our own freedom, we must assure all men's freedom. That is the technique. If a liberal were to develop two personalities and one of those personalities established a benevolent dictatorship, while the other continued his liberal activities, it would be only a matter of time until he killed himself. The restriction of others' freedom is self-enslavement and suicide. The dictator is the most abject of slaves. These simple considerations are the logical basis of the philosophy of liberalism. From such considerations, and from many more, the fundamental principles of liberalism arises a code of rights, basic in nature and clear beyond misconception. This code must be the law, and beyond the law, an ultimate expression of the dignity and inviolability of the individual. It must be above the meddlings of courts and lawyers, beyond the whim of the populace and the treachery of demagogues and dictators. It must be the epitome of men's aspirations toward liberty and self-determination, so sacred that its violation by a state, group, or individual is treason and sacrilege. The Bill of Rights in the American Constitution is a step in this direction, and its study will indicate a more final development. But in a world so threatened by positivism and paternalism, this document is limited both in scope and application. It permits such violations of liberty as the late National Prohibition Law, the Draft Law, the Closed Shop, the Mann Act, censorship laws and anti-firearm laws, and racial discrimination. It has been said with justification that the Constitution means what the Supreme Court says it means. A document so fundamental as a Bill of Rights cannot be jeopardized by arbitrary interpretations. It should need no interpretations. It must apply equally to the state and to every state, municipality, official group, and individual within the state. It must apply in such a way that the individual or minority need not recourse to elaborate, lengthy, and costly proceedings in order to protect these rights. It is the duty of the state to provide this recourse to all alike in the manner and to better purpose than life and property are now protected from the more obvious and poorly organized forms of violence. Freedom cannot be subject to arbitrary interpretation and misinterpretation. It must plainly include freedom from persecution on moral, political, economic, racial, social, or religious grounds. No man, no group, and no nation has the right to any man's individual freedom. No matter how pure the motive, how great the emergency, how high the principle, such action is nothing but tyranny. It is never justified. The question is, are we able to face the consequences of democracy? Or is it sufficient that freedom be assured by purely negative means? Freedom is meaningless where its expression is controlled by powerful groups such as the press, the radio, the motion pictures, churches, politicians, and capitalists. Freedom must be ensured, and it can only be ensured by the allegiance to the principle that man has certain inalienable rights, among which are the rights to live his private life insofar as it concerns only himself as he sees it, to eat and drink, to dress, live, and travel as, where, and how he will, to express himself as he sees fit, to speak, write, print, experiment, and otherwise create as he will, to work as he chooses, when he chooses, and where he chooses, at a reasonable and commensurate wage, to purchase his food, shelter, medical and social needs, and all other services and commodities necessary to his existence and self-expression at a reasonable and commensurate price. To a decent environment and upbringing during his childhood until he reaches a responsible majority, to love as he sees fit, where, how, and with whom he chooses, in accordance only with the desires of himself and his partner, to the positive opportunity to enjoy these rights as he sees fit, without obstruction on the one hand or compulsion on the other, to protect his person, his property, and his rights to the extent of killing the aggressor if necessary. This is the purpose of the right to keep and bear arms. These rights must be counterbalanced by certain responsibilities. The liberal accepting them must guarantee these rights to all others at all times, regardless of his personal feelings or interests. He must work to establish and protect them, live in a manner commensurate with them, and be prepared to defend them with his life. He must refuse allegiance to any state or organization which denies these rights, and aid and encourage all who, without qualification or equivocation, endorse them. He must refuse to compromise these principles on any issues, or for any reason, such as the sword of freedom. It is two-edged, a weapon for heroes. Such principles are only possible to the highest types of a civilization, difficult enough for them. But nothing short of such principles will assure the survival of liberty, of democracy, or of society itself. Liberalism is not only a code for individuals and the state, it is the only possible basis for international civilization. Such principles, as all principles, are barren unless they are revered and protected by those to whom they apply, unless they are informed by a mature and civilized outlook. They must be interpreted and applied with understanding and sympathy, with humor and tolerance. They do not need pretentious sentimentality or hysterics in their application and defense. Insufferable bastards of high principle are sufficiently numerous as it is. Nor can we force his rights upon a man. Man has the right to be a slave if he so desires. If he does not defend his rights, he deserves slavery, and that is what he gets. The person who is tyrannized by a member of his family, or a friend, by public opinion or slave morality, is worthy of his condition, and his protestations are those of the hypocrite. Even the physically inferior person who is the subject of a bully has recourse to the equalizing effect of judo, a knife, or a gun. Any necessary means is justified if employed by the individual in defending his basic and inalienable rights. In this respect, the dueling code with the qualifications of equalizing weapons and chivalrous conduct may be the optimum solution to disputes which cannot be settled amicably. Such a system is undoubtedly less unfair and infinitely more determining than the elaborate, expensive, and ridiculous antics of contending lawyers. Furthermore, the improvement in manners would more than compensate for the deaths of a few more hot-tempered individuals who would otherwise probably perish in traffic disputes, with far more disastrous consequences to those in the immediate vicinity. This thesis is well illustrated if we consider the behavior of the cat. He will cooperate so far and no further. This is his fundamental principle. He will not be pushed around or doubt his teeth and claws together. Will his willingness to use them contribute to the practicability of this stand? There is always one alternative to slavery. We can die fighting. No tyrant can gain more than a hollow victory against a people so committed, and even the individual can find here the ultimate rock of his inviolability. Freedom, like charity, begins at home. No man is worthy to fight in the cause of freedom unless he has conquered his internal masters. He must learn control and discipline over the disastrous passions that would lead him to folly and ruin. He must conquer inordinate vanity and anger, self-deception, fear, and inhibition. These are the crude ores of his being. He must smelt these ores in the fire of life, forge his own sword in it, against the hard abrasive of experience. Only then is he fit to bear arms in the larger battle. There is no substitute for courage, and the victory is to the high-hearted. He will have nothing to do with the asceticisms or the excesses of weakness. Self-expression will be his watchword. A self-expression, tempered, keen, and strong, first he must know the rule himself. Only then can he cope with the economic pressures which are employed by economic groups and capitalists, or the political pressures employed by demagogues. He may then find himself in a difficult predicament. If he calls himself a liberal, he discovers that he is supposedly committed to the foreign policy of the Russian government. If he opposed Soviet policy, he is welcome to the camp of the Catholic Church and the Manufacturers Association. If he eschews both camps, he is condemned for lack of principle. Should he support the rights of working men or minority and racial groups, he is red. If at the same time he believes in constitutional government and individual rights, he is also a fascist. Many liberals are familiar with this situation, but few seem to have deduced the conclusion. The difficulty exists in the stupid or deliberate confusion of the rights of the individual and the responsibilities of the state. It is a sad moment on our mentality that the social reformer subscribes to total regimentation, while the alleged individualist propagandizes for total irresponsibility. The rights of the individual can be clearly defined. His responsibilities and the responsibilities of the state can be clearly defined. His rights end where the next man's begin. It is the function of the state to ensure equal rights to all. This should be very clear, and it is amazing that this issue is so confused. In the absence of a social devotion to the principles of liberalism, positivists have usurped its name and its phrases in order to propagandize for their various totalitarianisms. This process has been greatly aided by the pseudo-liberalism, which believes that all opinion contrary to its own must be suppressed. As I write, allegedly liberal groups are agitating for the denial of public forums to those they call fascists. Americanism societies are striving for the suppression of communist or red literature and speech. Religious groups backed by a publicity-conscious press are constantly campaigning for the prohibition of art and literature, which, as if by divine prerogative, they term indecent, immoral, or dangerous. It would seem that all organizations are devoted to one common purpose, the suppression of freedom. Nor is their sincerity any excuse. History is a bloody testament that sincerity can achieve atrocities which cynicism could never conceive. Each of these groups is engaged in a frantic struggle to sell out, betray, or destroy the freedom which is their finest birthright and which alone assured their present existence. Freedom is a two-edged sword. He who believes that the absolute rightness of his belief is an authority to suppress the rights and opinions of his fellows cannot be a liberal. Liberalism cannot exist where it violates its own principles. It cannot exist when the emergency monger and utopia salesman can obtain a suspension of rights, temporary or permanent. Liberty cannot be suppressed in order to defend liberalism. The fundamental principles of liberalism must be more clearly established and defined. The rights of man are inviolable rights beyond the law, beyond the courts or the state, beyond the will of the majority or of God. If this is not understood, there can be no liberty. Freedom is not granted. It is the inalienable possession of every man, woman, and child. It cannot be taken away. It can only be surrendered. If we are to achieve a democracy, the rights of individuals and the responsibilities of states must be openly defined and ardently defended. It is inconceivable that men who have fought and died in a war against totalitarianism do not know what they fought for. It is a fantastic joke. when the things in which they believed turned like a nightmare into the things they fought against. Another generation has gone down in blood and agony to make the world safe, but the evil things that make the world unsafe still go uncowed and undefeated, plotting new sacrifices of misery and blood. Nor is the guilt entirely with warmongers, plutocrats, and demagogues. The people permit exploitation and regimentation in any name. They deserve their slavery. A tyrant does not make his tyranny possible. It is made possible by the people and not otherwise. This is a hard truth. But every liberal who does not support his principles with his utmost strength, intelligence, and courage contributes, however, indirectly to the failure of liberalism. In order to give such support, he must know and understand liberalism as a creed, a principle, and a living philosophy. By its very nature, liberalism is not a cut-and-dried system of thought. In ways it changes as man changes. In detail, it may vary from the individual to the individual, as those individuals vary from one another. But there are certain principles which are unchangeable. It is my purpose to explore the nature of these principles and describe a sword with which the liberal can adequately defend his liberalism. Much of our modern thought is characterized by pretenses and evasions, by appeals to ultimate authorities which are illiberal, superstitious, and reactionary. Often we are not aware of these thought processes. We accept ideas, authorities, catchphrases, and conditions without troubling to think or investigate. Yet these things may conceal terrible traps. We accept them as right because they have a surface agreement with the things in which we believe. We welcome the man who is for liberalism against communism without troubling to inquire what else he is for or against. In our blindness, we leave ourselves open to exploitation, regimentation, and war. Tumultuous developments in science and society demand a new clarity of thought, a re-examination, and a reenactment of principles. It is not sufficient that a principle is sacred because it is time-worn. It must be examined, tried, and tested in the fires of our new needs. In our law, in our social and international relations, we are guilty of a myriad of barbarisms and superstitions. These things are tolerated simply because they exist, because we have become used to them, and because it is often unpleasant to face facts. The principle developed herein is very simple. The liberty of the individual is the foundation of civilization. No true civilization is possible without this liberty, and no state, national or international, is stable in its absence. The proper relation between this liberty on the one hand and social responsibility on the other is the balance which will assure a stable society, and by no other means short of the total annihilation of individuality can this be attained. There is no further possible evasion of nature's immemorial ultimatum: change or perish. Out of Versailles, faint voice crying, time will be. Out of Paris today, the voice of trumpets proclaiming time is. But tomorrow the voice of the whirlwind shouting, time has been. Against that time, a sword. Number 2, The Sword in the State. Okay, this is called Freedom as a Two-Edged Sword, Essays by John Woodside Parsons. This book cost me like $150. It sold for $12.95 at one point though. So it's a pretty rare book. Looking forward to finishing it. Okay, this has been a reading, Freedom as a Two-Edged Sword, Parsons, Part 1 by Joy.
I can't imagine like when someone is, you know, like remember was that at Coca-Cola where they had the noose case? They were putting the noose on his.
Do it when I'm supposed to because it's a holiday.
I'm doing 2 big meals a day with God, and I eat them within like it's either like lunch and dinner, or it's like dinner and breakfast. It's never breakfast and lunch though. Like I always have dinner, but there's 14 hours a day that I'm just not eating.
Well, I didn't have that luxury when I worked at Hardee's and Carl's Jr. with my office next to the test kitchen, and then Mrs. Fields Cookies, and we had a test kitchen. That was very hard to not throw up.
You know, when I was in college, I looked after one of the guys that founded Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, and he gave me this. I'm still so mad about it. He gave me this. I guess it's for the best though, in terms of not getting fat. But he gave me this thing that I could put like a key fob, like a members card thing, where I got a free milkshake every single time I went to a Carl's Jr. or Hardee's. No questions asked. You just like show this.
You mean like for life? For forever?
Yeah, for it was like
that's pretty cool.
And, yeah, it was, and a couple of like the managers when they saw that, they're like, no way, I haven't seen one of these in a long time. Like who? And it was this guy that I worked. I never even talked to him technically because he had a stroke.
Was it? What year would this have been?
This would have been in 2008. It was my junior year of college, or no, 2009 would have been my junior year of college.
So was that Carl himself, Carl Karcher, or was it one of his brothers?
No. It was one of the earliest investors.
An investor, because the Karcher family had it. But there were a number of them.
It wasn't in the family. It was like one of their first like big money grabs, like in terms of seed funding and everything like that. He was.
Yeah, you know, he almost lost the entire company in the late 80s when the real estate market in Southern California tanked. He was overinvested in it, and he almost lost the whole thing. He got dug out of it, but just by the skin of his teeth.
What's the reason that it, like on the West Coast is Carl's and on the East Coast is Hardee's? Generally, like sometimes you'll see.
Well, this is a little longer. I'm going to make this a very short story, but it is a long story. I worked for Hardee's first before I worked for Carl's. And our plan was to acquire Roy Rogers in the Northeast, assimilate that, and then go buy Carl's. Well, we bought Roy Rogers, and it turned out to be a complete friggin' disaster. And we lost so much money. We sold most of Roy Rogers to McDonald's. And then we were kind of hurting. And then Carl's decides to buy us. So they buy us, but they tried to do the same thing we did with Roy's. We tried to convert it. So they converted it in one of the number one markets for Hardee's, which was Champaign, Illinois. And even though they didn't change the food, the customers revolted. And so they decided that they would, half the country would be, and that's not really half and half, but they would keep Carl's in the West and Hardee's in the East. And also, my business partner in my current company is the former CEO of Hardee's and Carl's Jr.
Do you guys want to hear a good diet plan?
Sure.
Get divorced.
Oh, I was just saying that with Jeff, because Jeff was like, I'm playing basketball now and going into cackles, like going to the gym more often. And I lost 40 pounds when I got out of my 9-year relationship. Like the quickest way to get in shape is to get out of a long-term relationship. Is something of.
I didn't have 40 pounds to lose, but I definitely, this has been now almost 8 years, but I got in good shape, and that'll motivate.
Getting cancer will take
So,
weight off you too.
Oklahoma and Wyoming have both. Do you have any idea why that is?
Yeah, we converted we had a regional office in Norman, Oklahoma, and we converted the company units there. Some of the franchisees didn't want to do it, and we, even after Carl's bought us, we were still having trouble. And they went and created an independent franchisee association, so they were really kind of at war with us. So, you know, where the border is, it's not a really a hard and fast line. Also, it's also done by what's called the DMA, designated market area, which is determined by Nielsen statistics, but it's geographic. And you can have one DMA that's next to another DMA. It's a different TV market. So we kind of did it by DMA. So that's how you could have them in the same state, because it could be multiple DMAs within one state.
Gotcha.
We have Hardee's here. No car.
It's a very slept on.
Where are you? Where are you located?
Nebraska.
Oh yeah. We do really well in Omaha, the Quad Cities. We would never change those because we did well up there. We still did it. Well, I'm not there anymore. Neither is my partner, but those are good.
I'm surprised they're not in New York, the whole Northeast, New York through Maine.
Carl's actually did try building one in Manhattan and stuff, but I never went to it. This was a few years ago. The Northeast is extremely difficult to get real estate in. I mean, you think about, Boston and New York City and even Philadelphia and Newark. You know, all of these places, the roads are, what used to be, cowpaths and stuff and Indian trails. So they don't have the same kind of infrastructure that, say, like Raleigh or Charlotte, where they've got really great, interstate highway system belting around the city. You can find more real estate. And the real estate that is there is hard to come by, and it's really, really expensive. So many times the larger chains will buy out somebody else and convert them, which doesn't always work out. Now, we had, and I wasn't there, but in the 80s, Hardee's had bought the Sandy's hamburger chain and the Burger Chef hamburger chain, and successfully converted both of those to Hardee's, and they worked out great.
New York's always been behind the fast food curve. I feel like one other reason for it is because, like, the percentage of fast food people eat in the Northeast, a lot of it is taken up by local pizzerias and Chinese food, and that's like technically not fast food, but like also technically fast food, like depending on how you're looking at it.
I think you might be onto something there, but also McDonald's, Burger King, and Wendy's are heavily penetrated.
They're heavily penetrated. The OGs are up here, but like it took us so long to get. I went to school in the South, and we had a Chick-fil-A on campus, and I was shocked that it took Chick-fil-A so long to infiltrate the Northeast, because it wasn't until when I was in. I actually remember after I graduated college, I was back in New York City. And there was one Chick-fil-A in New York City, and it was on the NYU campus. I'd have to get my next door neighbor's kids to bring me into. They were at NYU. I would go in there. I'd buy Chick-fil-A for all my friends that I went to college with, and then I'd come over with like 30 racks of chicken nuggets and like tons of waffle fries, and they'd be like, "No way!" It was, and I never told them where it was. They always tried to get it out of me when I was drunk and everything. I was like, "Nope. This is my key to free Chick-fil-A because you guys will."
Yeah, Chick-fil-A, I mean, the first time I ever had it was when they opened up at my university too. So I think that was part of their expansion strategy was to get into the colleges so that then they would be able to, as people graduated, they would have, fans already.
Smart move.
Yeah, have canes out there. Does anybody have canes in their area?
Raising Cane's?
Canes, yeah.
Oh yeah, Raising Cane's are very good. They're very good, and they do well. All right, I have a quiz for you guys. What do you think the average unit volume of a McDonald's is versus the average unit volume of a Chick-fil-A?
Can you define unit volume?
Sales per store, sales per restaurant on average.
Oh, even with the 1 day open. Okay, hold on. Let me calculate this in my head.
I'm gonna say Chick-fil-A is double.
But you gotta give me a benchmark. What do you think the McDonald's is?
What do they sell a day?
Excuse me, a year, annualized, annual revenue.
I gotta do math.
Revenue like before taxes, before
gross sales after taxes. Gross sales after taxes.
I would say gross
after sales taxes. That is.
Sales taxes. Okay, I would say McDonald's is probably somewhere in like the 7 to 15, depending on the market. And I would say Chick-fil-A would probably be somewhere between 10 and 20.
10 and 20 what?
Million. Yeah, 7 to 15, 10 to 20.
All right, I got McDonald's at about 5. I'm going to say Chick-fil-A is about 10.
Joe?
Yes, yeah, I'm here.
What are the numbers just after sales tax? I think 5 to 10 in terms of like what each one nets overall, like after taxes, after.
These are gross numbers, Pat.
Yeah, gross numbers.
Don't confuse it by using the wrong words.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Chick-fil-A is 9.3 million annual gross volume, not including sales tax. McDonald's is about 3 million per location after not including sales tax. So
I got Chick-fil-A almost exactly right. And
oh no, you did good on Chick-fil-A. You did good on Chick-fil-A. You did very well on Chick-fil-A.
I didn't think McDonald's was that low. Holy shit!
But that's still higher than Carl's Jr., Wendy's, and Burger King.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, I also believe that because in the last, 5 years at least, McDonald's has pursued a strategy of, building stores between their 2 successful stores. So, like, they're, I think about Indianapolis as an example, but I know they've done this around the country. Like, there were, I think, 3 McDonald's within 8 minutes of my home and 1 Chick-fil-A. Like the McDonald's penetrations, they're just trying to be on every corner at this point.
Well, you know the pyramids in Indianapolis.
Yep.
Well, that used to be General Foods offices for Burger Chef. That was what it was originally built for. Was Burger Chef. We sold it when we bought Burger Chef. Again, I was not there because that would make me ancient. And then we opened up an office in Carmel or Carmel.
Yep.
Not Carmel.
Correct. Yeah. That tracks.
But we did very well in Indy. The Indy market was excellent for Hardee's. Excellent.
Indy is known and is basically one of the first markets. Chains will, like, if a chain, let's say they were in New Jersey or Florida or really any state, and they want to test, a new state, we're usually one of the first states people will set up shop particularly for fast food, for any chain restaurant, actually.
Florida's pretty good for that too, Jeff.
I don't know enough about Florida. I know India because between the laws and property values and wages, it's an easy place to make money.
I worked for this guy.
Hoosiers will eat anything.
Joe, do you know who Bob Basham is?
Yes, I met him at the Kentucky Derby, and
for him. He started restaurants. Jeff, this is why I know Florida is like huge for it, because he was one of the early founding members. He worked for Hooters, Outback Steakhouse, Bonefish Grill. He basically a huge conglomerate, and he started up his own company that is going to be it was my favorite place to go when I lived in Tampa. Like I would choose it over Chick-fil-A. I'd choose it over Popeyes. It was like my go-to chicken place. It's called PDQ. And I finally started to see some in New York. Me and my dad were thinking about, God rest his soul, like 10 years ago, we were thinking about buying the licensing for franchises in the tri-state area, because he was selling them for $100,000, but it just seemed like it was like an insurmountable goal, and it would take 10 years for PDQ to actually open their first location in New York. That's exactly what happened. But this place is, they are a really, really tasty, like it's different, completely different. Like the breading on their chicken nuggets, it's the same exact menu as you get at Chick-fil-A, but their breading is a lot crispier as opposed to like a softer, it's a personal choice, but like if you like a little bit of texture with your chicken, PDQ is better than Chick-fil-A, and it's all over Florida.
Yeah, so I have heard. Isn't Tim Tebow part of that too?
I don't know, but the story is like inspiring. Like Bob Basham was on vacation, and there was this like old black lady in North Carolina who had this chicken restaurant, and he loved the chicken so much, he's like, I will pay you $3 million for the rights to all your recipes, including, they have this thing called blueberry coleslaw, which is basically just coleslaw with blueberries in it. If you don't like that, you can just pick out the blueberries easily, but it does like leave a flavor that is highly recommended, Jeff, if you get a chance. The South and the Midwest does fast food better than everyone else. There's so many more options, things that I'd never had before when I went to school down there, and I lived down there for like 10 years. But like Crystal's is a better version of White Castle. Zaxby's, that's another one that we don't have up north. That Zaxby's is like, that was one of my favorite places. This was before PDQ, and
yeah, I almost went to work for Crystal when they were in Chattanooga, headquartered there, and they tried to keep me away from Hardee's and Carl's Jr. And we got really far down the process with them. They actually flew my wife out and me again to actually look at neighborhoods for moving there. But we did not end up putting a deal together on that.
What are some of the slept on ones, Joe? Like what are some like people might not have had, and you're like, this is actually much better? Because I Carl's and Hardee's, I feel like it's if Burger King fucked Sonic. It's like the in between of those two restaurants. And I'm a big fan of, again, I don't eat fast food as much as I did, but when I was younger, like Carl's and Hardee's.
I'm doing work now. Our company's doing work for a 100-unit West Coast chain called Farmer Boys, and they're north of $2 million. They've got units doing $3 million. And nothing's frozen. Everything's fresh. They don't have a freezer in the store. I have not actually gone to. I'm the only one of our company that hasn't gone to the store to taste it, but it's supposed to be very, very good. It's a little bit more premium price, but look at the website.
What do you know about Hawaiian Brothers? Have you heard of that?
Yeah, and they are a freaking juggernaut. They are killing it.
We just got
they're killing it. They are absolutely killing it. I don't know what their AUV is. I could go, get the documents on them, but they are killing it. I hear really, really good things about it.
Well, it's something so different. I mean, especially like we're in the Midwest, so I think we kind of look for something, and actually Omaha's kind of a foodie town. And so it's like it is busy all the time.
It's kind of an eclectic town. I mean,
What's it called?
I'm trying to look at the
Runza is huge here. Yes.
Hawaii. It is. It's big. Hawaiian Bros is what it is.
Yeah.
Hawaiian Bros.
Big Hawaiian food. That's what it is.
Yeah, and the other one that's really blown up is Dave's Hot Chicken. Dave's Hot Chicken is killing it too. I've not had it. It's a Nashville, hot chicken place, and they're really known for they have like 7 different levels of sauces that you can put on your chicken. It's supposed to be very, very good. I have not had it.
I have. And it is good. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's one of those like fad restaurants that like in 10 years, they're either gonna have to lower their amount of skis. Like hot sauce isn't enough of a shtick. Although actually it can be. There's this place in Florida, another one called Tijuana Flats.
Well, they just went back. They just went bankrupt, but that's okay.
Oh, they did. Oh,
yeah. I think they're either close to out of being out of. They were debtor in possession. I think they're either close to being out of bankruptcy or they're done with their reorganization. But they went bankrupt.
Oh, that sucks. That was like. I'm not sure how well the organization was run, but the food was awesome, and their sauce bar where you have like 35 different.
Yeah, I used to go there, and when I lived in Louisville, I used to go there, and I loved the sauce bar because I love hot sauces. It was fun.
I feel like runs is one of those things that doesn't really translate too well. I think there may be one in Kansas. Wouldn't surprise me if in South Dakota, but like all over Nebraska. I mean, small towns, big towns, I mean, all over.
I was always upset with Tijuana Flats because I thought that they should every single sauce that they were offering, they should be selling those. And then they should have also been outsourcing it instead of making it in-house, where it's like, have you ever heard of World of Beer?
Yes, yeah, another franchise, but yes.
But so World of Beer, I was like, I'm very interested in their business model because I think it's like my retirement bar that I'm going to open up, Spuds and Suds, which is basically World of Beer with like as many options for potato based menu. But basically, World of Beer, they would pay their bartenders very low amount, but everyone was going to World of Beer to taste a new beer that they hadn't tasted before. There was like 64 beers on tap on like all their locations. So they go in and like you will say, my typical order at a World of Beer would be like, I like Fat Tire, give me something similar to Fat Tire, or I'm in the mood for a Hoe Garden. And then they would give you a bunch of different tiny like half ounce to ounce shots so you can taste the different beers. But the ones that they were pushing are, there's so many breweries that start in America and they go bankrupt very quickly. So whenever a brewery was starting or a brewery was trying to sell out its stock, World of Beer would take on like a massive amount of inventory for next to nothing. And then they pay their bartenders every single time you push this beer that we got for like $45 a keg, we'll give you $1 in sales on the sales. So I like that mentality. And if Tijuana Flats established that with salsa companies, there are so many hot sauce salsa making companies in America. If they had just like outsourced it to all these companies, they would have been getting all these, and they could have been pushing product. I thought it was, now that I think about it, Joe, it makes sense why they went bankrupt, but there was no reason because the food is so good there that there's no reason for them to be going bankrupt.
That strategy doesn't make sense for them though, because they're kind of trying to differentiate on having like unique sauces that no one else has, and more sauces than everyone has, and higher quality sauces than everyone else has.
I'm just saying, combining two businesses.
They're
Have you ever been to those hot sauce shops, Jeff, where they have
but you're turning them into World of Hot Sauce.
A World of Hot Sauce with the food where you can try out the hot sauces as well, like try before you buy, like mentality. They should have just like bought.
Yeah, but that takes away what they're differentiating on. Hey, Matt.
Matt's from the South. Matt, what are some of your like low key, like slept on fast food chains?
Zaxby's. I love Zaxby's.
Zaxby's so good.
Yeah, Zaxby's is doing very well too, and it's interesting. And let me, Jeff, you'll appreciate this. The restaurants, the quick serve restaurants that are doing the best are the ones that are focused on chicken as their centerpiece protein. Chicken is the most reliable protein in the world, and certainly in the United States, because it only takes like 14 weeks to grow a chicken, and they figured out how to make them really, really big. Whereas, how long does it take to grow a cow? And even though pigs are easy to grow, so the reliability of the supply chain makes those much more profitable, and the price doesn't fluctuate. Even if you have an avian flu outbreak, the chicken industry recovers very, very quickly, whereas pork and beef would take much longer to recover during the space between the outbreak when they would have to kill all the animals and they would have
Right.
proteins.
Yeah, that makes sense actually.
Oh, wow.
I know that's been in the last couple of years. That's been an issue. I have a friend who imports. She's the largest importer of pork ribs in America, and when I was talking with her, she was telling me about basically the Chinese came in and were taking out all. They lost all their domestic pork because of swine flu, and so that she was struggling because I think Germany was where they were raising the really high quality pigs that she was getting, and the Chinese just came and like outbid them. So she was struggling to continue to get her supply chain. But that makes sense though. Like if you're having an issue like that.
Yeah, and
like that, chicken bounces back much quicker. You're going to be insulated from those sorts of supply, inventory, price issues.
Wait, would that
mean pork
is cheaper than beef though? Because like pork, so like you can.
Pork is absolutely cheaper than beef. Pork is absolutely cheaper than beef. No question about it.
And it follows the logic in terms of like 8 months to like regenerate your pork population, like 2 years until you get fully grown cows, 14 weeks of chickens.
But the other aspect of the chicken-centered quick-serve restaurants is the cooking process. Almost all of them are fried products. So if you start thinking about workflow efficiency at a Chick-fil-A, everything is coming from either a refrigerated or frozen state to a fryer. All of the things cook at about within minutes of each other. So being able to have a high level of customer service and always be serving food hot, really much easier than a burger joint. Much easier.
Wow.
Much more efficient.
That makes so much more sense. Holy shit.
And Jack, you thought I only knew about pizza, huh? Didn't you?
Wait, you're a pizza guy?
I assumed you had other interests and talents. Yeah.
So Joe, I just bought I'm fascinated by your life's work. I just bought the exclusive right because I feel like I need a hobby over the next 2 years, and I'm thinking about moving to Ireland, where most Irish people come through New York. They have family or friends living there. They've had New York pizza. They know it's the best pizza like on the planet, in my opinion. I bought the rights to this machine called the New York Water Maker. And it basically can turn any water in the world into New York City tap water. I get that it's like all a marketing scheme, but like in terms of if I go over to Ireland in 2 years, I expect to have the best pizza in Ireland, like universally ranked as the best pizzeria in Ireland. And I feel like the fact that I'm like have the New York Water Maker will like just give me that little extra boost of credibility. What are some things you would tell someone who's trying to start up a pizzeria? I
would tell them that the quality of your water is really, really important, along with the quality of the types of flour that you use, your fermentation process, your dough management, all of those things play into it, and then the type of cooking equipment you're using to make your pizzas in. There's a lot of different technology out there. And it's rapidly changing. The Italians have a new conveyor oven. Looks like a Domino's conveyor oven, but instead of having a wire or mesh conveyor, they actually have weaved in pieces of stone. So now it has the same characteristics in baking that you get from a stone-baked oven with a much more reliable management of temperature. So there are a lot of different aspects of it. And it depends on what style of pizza. So, there's in burgers, there's a certain amount of ubiquity. And even with the chicken operators, Zaxby's and Raising Cane's, is there really a ton of difference? Is there a ton of difference between Dave's Hot Chicken and the other Nashville Hot Chickens? I'd say no. Some are going to be higher quality, but in terms of how they operate, they're very, very similar. Pizza, great deal of variation.
Yeah.
Yeah, great deal.
Well, like the thing is, I was thinking stacked ovens, and my logic is conveyor belts, like which I do like. That sounds awesome, but there's more moving parts in them. So like if that breaks down, you're so reliant on it. Whereas like stacked oven, if like one of them stops working, you'll still have like operational capabilities. So like I'm scared of the conveyor belt system.
Well, look, most of the higher volume operators that use conveyors have more than one in there.
Exactly.
So they're not relying on one. And also, the conveyor ovens are really very low maintenance. I mean, you do have to worry about the conveyor actually breaking, breaking so it can't move. But otherwise, the parts aren't really any different than a deck oven, electric or gas.
See, like my goal would be like a max capacity of like 200 pies a day type of, like that would be max, like, and require more play. Like optimally, like I'd be happy selling like 100 pies a day type of thing. I don't think I have the capacity for conveyor, so I'd need stacked ovens.
This New York water maker is fascinating. Doesn't explain remotely how it does it, but it doesn't just claim to be able to turn any water into New York water. It claims to be able to turn any water into any city's water.
Yeah, basically what they do is they take test samples of cities. Obviously, the main reason they're selling it is like New York, so they have that on lock, but you have to send in, so I have the exclusive rights. Once I get to Dublin, I have to send them in a water sample, like the tap water where I'm going to be intending to hook up my New York water maker machine to. And then they will come up with this chemical bag, so put the exact percentage of fluoride into it, like all that type of stuff. So it runs through this, and by the time it comes out of this like packet, it matches the New York City water. But theoretically, you could be like, I like Cincinnati water. It's good for Skyline Chili or something like that. You could,
like Paris or another city.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, it's really just a thing for. It's only really important for bait shit for the most part.
Pretty much.
Well, what about whiskey and what about beer?
Well, yeah. I'm sorry, you're right.
That's a good point.
They also mentioned. Yeah, you're correct. Fascinating if technology actually works.
It's actually more fascinating when you see how it was invented, because it was a show called Staten Island Hustle on CNBC. It was right after the Prophet, Prophet seasons like 4 through 7, and it was these like Staten Island investors, but they were kind of like hustlers a little bit. Like they definitely had a little bit of juice, and like one or two of them probably knew mobsters. I'm not saying they were in the mob or anything. And they came up with this idea of this New York water maker, and they went to this company in New Jersey to help manufacture them. And then at the end of the episode, it was so funny because the guys were like, okay, so like you guys can be like the sales distributors on this. And they're like, no, we own this. And they're like, no, we own this now, because it was like a weird episode where it was like, it was shocking. Like these guys came up with this idea. They went to this company built it, and then the company decided to keep it for themselves. And then they just let them, I guess. But I have the exclusive rights in Ireland.
That's a really bad deal.
Yeah.
Whenever you sign a contract, the work for product provisions is, you might be working on this. You can create all this, but at the end of the day, we own the technology. We own it all. That's how a work for hire works.
Yeah, exactly. It was a fascinating episode, which I was like, it left me with more questions than answers. But if you just type in Staten Island Hustle New York water maker, that's like where it was invented, and that's how it came into my knowledge. And then I went to Las Vegas and I saw a couple of pizzerias that had New York water maker. Like it's a sticker on the front of their window that like I don't know, advertised. But that's where like it came into my consciousness from. But it's still doable. Like the machines cost between $12,000 and $24,000, and then it cost me $15,000 to get the exclusive rights on the island of Ireland. So that includes Northern Ireland. But I also get to be the exclusive salesman once I'm in the EU and once the business is started, provided no one else pays money for it beforehand. So it'll be a pizzeria that's also like a selling point. Like hopefully I can get Polish people and Italian people and German companies to like buy this machine as well, and I get commissions off of that as well. Like it's a sweet deal. It's incentivized me to move to Europe for like 2 years, see if I can make a go of it. If not, cut my losses. That's why I want to do a small pizzeria of it.
The sticker may cost $25,000. Sorry, the oven may or whatever, but the sticker could only cost 2.5 cents.
That's true. I was thinking about that. I was like, I could just pay cousins to go on vacation in New York and come back with a bunch of Poland Spring bottles in there.
It's all psychosomatic.
That's the other thing. I don't know what the maintenance on the machine is or how much the filters cost. Because like I'm assuming you run through those, so there might like that's the thing that I'm most worried about. So Matt, you might be right. Just ship in New York City tap water.
Well, there was a bagel brand. I don't know if they're still in business or not, called Brooklyn Water Bagels.
I used to go to that in Tampa.
Yeah, they started in Florida, and their whole thing was that they shipped New York water to Florida to make their bagels. That was their thing. Now it's pretty damn expensive to ship water on a truck to from New York to Florida. They would be an ideal customer if they're still in business for something like this, because then you just buy the machine and you're done with shipping. You make your own.
Except I was just reading an article before you mentioned it. I pulled it up. That bagel company is suing a local pizzeria because they effectively were not importing New York water. They had some sort of process to quote unquote Brooklynize the water, so basically something similar to what we're talking about here. And somehow the pizzeria ended up stealing the technology and doing the same thing. So they're suing the crap out of each other.
Wait, the water maker company or the Brooklyn Water Bagel company?
It's a pizza place, and actually, that's a really good question. Why, if I'm a restaurant, let's say I'm a restaurant. I mean, if I'm a restaurant, let's say in the town.
You're a restaurant.
I'm a restaurant now. I mean, I could buy one of these $20,000 machines, but if I have one of these $20,000 machines, why wouldn't I just become a water distributor for New York Water and keep all the other restaurants in town from having to buy a $20,000 machine?
That's a good point. Yeah,
you need a contract of some sort that they're like not allowed to spread the technology or something.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, yeah, I think that might be the flaw of this business model, is that you don't really need. Each restaurant doesn't necessarily need a machine. They just need access to the water. And water is not that difficult.
Yeah, but I think there is some application for having high quality water, whether it's New York or whatever formulation it is, in your restaurant. Because if you're boiling pasta, you're making soup. I mean, almost all your stuff has some kind of water. The only thing that doesn't have water is your steak, but certainly your bread has water in it. And if you're doing that, having high quality water is going to improve all the recipes in your restaurant. It's going to make it taste better.
Even if it doesn't make it taste better, a placebo effect, like it's a real thing. So like people might even just It's interesting topic. But Brooklyn Water Bagel, I didn't even know that they imported the water from Brooklyn. If I'm being honest with you, I used to eat there twice a week when I lived in Tampa. It was the only good bagel like you can get. The thing that they were the most known for is when you ordered an iced coffee, they had an ice machine that was made of the ice cubes were made of coffee. So like instead of watering down your iced coffee, it made it even stronger, and you got like extra coffee juice throughout the day. Right. It was like that was the thing that they were known for. Like I love that's a slept on chain. I wonder if they are still in business actually. Brooklyn Water Bagel.
The Jewish high school.
Well, they were in a legal battle in 2010. I don't know.
Oh, this was after I lived in, I lived in Tampa from 2012 to 2016, 2017. This was well after that point. Then they were going to, it was the best bagel I've had outside of New York.
Well, then I guess their process works, because based on the timing, then they were already manufacturing their Brooklyn water.
Smart.
That's an opossum.
Yeah, a lot of the you've heard of H&H bagels in Manhattan.
Yep.
The old one or the new one?
Well, both. They are now franchising, and I know those guys.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
They have. They say, and I haven't had it because I used to eat H&H when I lived in New York. They say they have perfected a method of producing the bagels in a factory, boiling them, and they create a formulation that is supposed to be like the original, and they are baked, and then they are finished in the new location that they're opening. That's their shtick on it. There's another company that a friend of mine, Jim Nussbaum, owns in Ohio called Berry Bagels. It's been around for 40 years. And they have a similar process where they have a dough making facility. Their process is a little bit different. They're not par baking. They're just producing the dough, and then they're boiling and baking in the bagel shops.
Yeah, that sounds much more comfortable, because there is something about freshness and warmness of a bagel that matters. And then the other thing is how Dunkin' Donuts does their model, where they have centralized areas where they make the donut batter and the bagel dough and all that type of stuff. But then if you buy a Dunkin' Donuts franchise, you can't just buy one. You're buying 3 locations, one that has a main kitchen where things are, and they also have to be in a geographical radius where you can deliver fresh goods to your store within X amount of time. But if H&H went the Dunkin' Donuts route, that would be a great franchise to invest in.
Well, both Dunkin' Donuts and Tim Hortons have gone entirely to frozen donuts. So they're fully cooked. They temper them off in the store, and then they ice and fill them. As a fill donut, they fill them there. They're not making anything, and the supply chain is partially owned, I think, at Dunkin' by the franchisees. And at Tim's owns the whole damn thing, and they pissed off all their franchisees because all the donuts got more expensive because they got to make a profit on producing these things in a commissary factory.
If you had $500,000 to invest in a franchise, are there food franchises available for that price? And which ones would you invest in for that price?
There are some. I mean, bagel shops, are depending on the real estate, you're looking at $350,000 to $800,000 or $900,000 that's for the total FF&E and franchise being built out. So you don't need $500,000. You need about 30% of capital to go into for cash infusion into your deal. So those are good, but it's really not about price of the franchise. It's more about unit economics of the franchise. And finding the ones that have the best unit economics is the first step. And then making sure you have enough capital. If you only got $500,000, you call Jeff up and say, Jeff, I'm going to get $1 million from you, and I'm going to go do this, and we're going to build these things because the unit economics are so good. And ideally, you want to measure the unit economics. Take a look at what the EBITDA is of the existing locations versus the build out of building a new location. And if it's a 3-year payback, that's the sweet spot. That's golden. If it's less than a 3-year payback, that's even better. If it's a 5-year payback, that's a 15% return. I'm not that excited about it. 5 years is a long time. But if you get to that 3.5 year return on cash return, I'm doing it.
Cool. Yeah, the Forbes franchise episode or edition was almost that was my favorite magazine of the year. That and the Playboy swimsuit edition, obviously. But those were like my two favorites.
But for different reasons.
Yeah, completely opposite reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. Attraction.
But in terms of like a magazine issue that I could read for like 3 months in a row and keep going back to, like those were the top two for sure. Do you mainly just do food franchise or just franchising in general?
We don't do hotels because that is a different animal entirely how it works. And we don't do real estate franchises. And we're an advisory company. And so we do advisory for franchise boards, and we do marketing, lead generation, and operations. Those are the things that we do. So we're not franchise brokers, because franchise brokers are a dime a dozen, and most of them don't know shit from Chinola. But that's the type of work that we do. Like my partner Ned.
Have you ever done, out of curiosity, have you ever done a home healthcare agency?
No, but I think they're very good. I think that segment is good. I know a little bit about it. My friend of mine started Bright Star, and they are very, very successful. It's definitely a very good segment because we've got an aging population, and it's very good. It's mostly all private.